Geeking out loud while you sneak around. See, I'm the one they speaking about. This key blast to throw you in the air and spin.
What's going on, everybody? It's me, Mark. Welcome back to another episode of Blerdkast. And today we're going to talk all things Atlanta because it's the city that I love so much, the place I was born, and just so many wonderful, interesting things to discuss, like those damn Falcons, for one. But before we begin, I would like to welcome to the show, to the channel for the first time. He is running for District 11 City Council. He is heavy in the culture of Atlanta, someone who is very passionate about the city of Atlanta. I would like to welcome to the show for the first time, Mr. Stephen Dingle.
Oh man, happy to be here. Appreciate you, Mark. Appreciate you allowing me to be on Blerdkast. Yeah, talk a little bit of everything Atlanta. So yeah, let's get into it, man. Thank you.
Let's do it. First of all, I gotta start off by saying I appreciate you wearing your UGA gear. Atlanta through and through right there. But before we begin, why don't you let my audience know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Stephen Dingle. Everybody knows me casually as Steveo, but so yeah, either way. But as I'm running for city council, Stephen Dingle is the name you remember for the ballot. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Was born in East Point originally. Parents, they were married, but they moved to Henry County, McDonough, Georgia specifically. Then they divorced around 2003, 2004. When I was 13, 14 years old, dad moved back to the SWATs area, right by Greenbrier Mall. So I've been back and forth pretty much my whole life. And he always worked off MLK for Bronner Brothers. So I've been back and forth to the city my whole life. But when they divorced, I was here way more often. And then in 2008, I attended Clark Atlanta University. And that's when I've been in Southwest Atlanta since then, firmly planted. But 12, 13-year music industry vet. That's what I do by day. Everybody knows me from working in the entertainment industry, work with musicians, artists, and producers, songwriters. Work closely with Quality Control Music, A&R for United Masters at a point. Then more recently, started substitute teaching a little bit, trying to see what this education industry is talking about. And then, of course, the most recent thing is deciding to run for Atlanta City Council District 11, which is in Southwest Atlanta. So it's just a little bit about little old Steve-O.
Well, that's fascinating. There's so much we're going to get into, but the first thing I have to ask you, probably the most important question I got to ask you, how you feeling about these Falcons this year?
Oh, yeah. I'm feeling good about this year. Our head coach, Raheem Morris, second year being the head coach. Our quarterback looks like he's all right. What we saw at the end of last season, Michael Penix Jr. is looking like promising. Kirk Cousins fooled us in the beginning of last year, but all we've needed, man, is decent quarterback play for the past few seasons. Our defense has been better. We have weapons on the offensive end, but when you look at the past two seasons we had with Kirk Cousins and Marcus Mariota, we lost a lot of close games, and a lot of that was because of quarterback play. Like, we were in the games, and if we just had decent quarterback play, we'd be all right. So Michael Penix Jr. seems to be exceeding that decent expectation. So with that, I'm expecting us to win the division this year. And then after that, who knows? But I'm definitely expecting to win the division and make it to the playoffs for sure.
I agree. I'm excited for this year. However, I would be remiss if I don't bring up some of the transgressions these Falcons have done. I love them so much, but oh my God, I swear to God, they're going to be the death of me one day.
The life of a Falcons fan.
Right, exactly. The life of a Falcons fan. So again, last year with the whole Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix thing, what were your thoughts on us signing Kirk Cousins and giving him basically the bank and the keys to Home Depot, and then turn around drafting Michael Penix just for that to turn out how it did? Kirk played injured after the Saints game. Granted, I don't know if anyone knew about it or not. That's the story for another day. And basically, we had Penix there the whole time. If he was going to be the future, why start him like how you did versus, he could have just been a starter the whole year last year versus having to deal with Cousins, and now we got to pay him this a call kind of money. It just seems like some really Atlanta crap to do. Like, the history of the team. Like, Atlanta sometimes like go right when they're supposed to go left. None of that made sense to me, and yet here we are a year later, about to start another season, and the quarterback situation was reversed. We got Penix and then Cousins holding out, sitting on the bench, costing us money that could have went to other more respectable players. What are your thoughts?
No, my sentiments exactly. When we made the play for Kirk Cousins, which we got in trouble for, which is making it more crazier. But I wasn't okay with the amount of money we paid him. But again, moving on from Marcus Mariota and how terrible he was, I was like, we just need decent. We don't need Kirk to be crazy. And Kirk was like, I'll take a decent quarterback, Kirk. We overpaid him, But I was like, fine. But when we took Michael Penix in the draft, it was just like, so why did we sign Kirk Cousins again for that much
Exactly,
money?
exactly. What was the point?
So yeah, it was just confusion. And of course, when you pay somebody that much money, you got to play him. And he started off the season well. So of course, early in the season, I was like, cool. But then he became Kirk Cousins, as everybody tried to warn us Falcon fans, like Kirk's going to Kirk. He became that. So it was just, of course, I'm always still wondering why did we do it if we were just going to draft Michael Penix. But hopefully it pays off down the line. But yeah, I don't understand it right after we made the draft pick. But I understand why we had to play him because you pay him, you got to play him. But yeah,
That's true. That is true. However, and I was the one Falcons fan by mid-season that was like, no, something's off about this. And everyone's like, shut up, Mark Kirko Chains. And I'm like, no, stop that. Please stop that. Like, he got to prove himself. Stop just getting excited because we got a little thing going. You know the history of this team. It always goes downhill.
yeah, yeah,
Always. But
always.
anyway. Oh my God, I can talk about that all day
Yeah, I do. We definitely can.
because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Nothing you can tell me about how they were thinking last year and where we are now that will make it make sense. There's nothing you can tell me.
yeah. They tried to explain it. I can't remember if it was draft night. I remember Raheem, if I could, it was him and Terry, and they were both saying like, you just don't pass up on talent like Michael Penix. That was the thing. It's not like when we had Kurt, they were just saying like we needed another quarterback. They understood that they overpaid for Kurt. Well, they didn't say they overpaid at the time, but they were just like Michael Penix's talent was just so through the roof that they just couldn't pass upon him. I remember them having that after draft press conference of why it was more about his talent than like we know we just signed Kirk and we need another quarterback. They were just like you couldn't pass up on him. That was their reasoning, whether we believe him or not. Hey,
Okay, but if he's such a once in a generational talent, you mean to tell me he didn't win the QB1 job in the offseason last year going against Kirk Cousins?
hey, look, you pay him, you got to play him. you pay Kirk that much
Oh,
money. I want to see you on the field. I got it. Like I'm paying you too much to ride the bit. Like you got to play, even if he's
I
hurt, like you said.
I agree on that aspect, except it still doesn't make sense because you paid him and still drafted somebody. Like again, nothing you
Yeah,
can say is
it,
just going to make it make sense. Like
right.
nothing you can say because like we could have either just stuck with Kirk Cousins. I mean, granted, I'm happy we did it because now like we're down Kirk Cousins. Clearly, Atlanta don't want him. He wasn't the answer. Even if he was to want to play for the team, there are too many questions there. Like, first of all, you signed him to that big a deal after he had a season injury, his injury. Like, you
Hmm.
don't get a quarterback that kind of money after an injury, especially at that age. That just doesn't make sense to me. But again, we could talk about the Falcons all day. That's just like one of my hot button topics. And also, like I told you in the pre-show, I'm going to prove to you that you're a nerd. That
All
was
right.
strike one right there for you. No Falcon stuff, sports stuff. That's kind of nerdy right there, Mr. Dingle.
I'll take
But
it. I'll take it.
okay. But
I'll take it.
the next thing, this is my next point of how you're nerdy. You're running for city council.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why? Why run for city council?
Yeah, I knew I was going to do it when I turned 40. I'm 35 now. So people always ask me, like, what made you interested in politics? And I was like, I've always been interested, but I just like, I wanted to accomplish a few more things in music. Like, I definitely wanted to try to get a Grammy. That was like a major thing for me. Get a Grammy, then I could really just be like, I did it. But the opportunity just presented itself now, especially with my councilwoman or council member, Marcy Collier Overstreet, going for city council president. The seat is wide open. So it was just one of those things where, your path just aligns. And I was like, there's no need to wait. Let's just go ahead and get in now. And I always wanted to serve the people of Atlanta. My family has been, so I started on the creative side, like being in music. Everybody knows me for the impact I've made on the creative side. But my uncle, the committee room at City Hall is named after him, Larry M. Dingle, who was the municipal clerk for 20, 30 years and also a big time lawyer. Most people know him for the Tyler Perry stuff. Like he helped them get both properties in Southwest Atlanta, the most recent
Hmm,
one and the one by Greenbrier. My
okay.
his son, my cousin, is a detective for APD. My sister's an Atlanta dispatcher. So like we were ingrained, and my dad worked for Bronner Brothers, but before he worked for the Department of Watershed, but then he worked for Bronner Brothers, one of the most prominent black businesses in Atlanta. So my family's always been connected to this city, and I just wanted to play my role in a different realm outside of the creative space in serving on city government. So that's why I'm running, and I know I can do right by the people. So
Okay. So I was going to ask you, with all that said, what do you think your chances of winning are? But it sounds like you're so ingrained in the city of Atlanta and people already know you. You kind of have a name for yourself in the city, so you probably have a good shot of winning this year. What are some key issues within the city of Atlanta that you are most concerned about? Basically, what's your campaign that you're going to be running on?
Yeah, absolutely. Safety is a big thing for the city, especially my district. We just had an incident. It didn't happen at Greenbrier Mall with the shooting, but somebody got shot and then in the area and then drove over to the Greenbrier Mall and then called the ambulance for help. So I know that was big on the news, but I always say it's hard to serve a community you can't protect. So of course there are things like car break-ins and stuff like that. You can't, it's not preventative measures, but you want to do your best to protect the people in your community and serve them. And I've talked a lot with Major Clay, who's the head guy, law enforcement in Zone 4, but also talking to the community about what they think about public safety and the police and community efforts and organizations, and just trying to figure out the best methods to serve the community. Secondly, education. Like I'm gonna move my camera around a little bit. You see the books over here and there. Like I'm just an advocate. My wife's a teacher. My mom's a teacher. Like I said, I've started substitute teaching a little bit. I'm just an advocate for education, understanding that yes, Atlanta has graduated the largest class in its history as far as graduation percentage, but our proficiency and literacy rates were still extremely low. And I know I'm not running for school board, but I want to work with schools, parents, families, the school board, superintendent to really turn our education up and raise our standards for our children. Because if we do that, we'll have some of the most productive members of society, not only in Atlanta, but in the country. So definitely want to just affect education and literacy is just a big thing for me. I want to let kids know, like, as much as you love film, the internet, TV, music, books should be right there on the same level. And then the third thing is infrastructure and economic development for specifically Southwest Atlanta. Atlanta is an international city. We all know that. We got the MLB All Star game coming. We just had the NCAA tournament. We got the World Cup in 2026. And I feel like when these big events come, international events, national events, Southwest Atlanta is often left out of the picture. Like people know us for Greenbrier Mall, Cascade, Camden Road. But like I said, when all this money comes into the city, I feel like people spend all their time downtown, midtown, Buckhead, and they don't often come to Southwest Atlanta and see what we have to offer. So I definitely want to be a promoter of Southwest Atlanta to get people to come over and come visit, come spend money here, come patronize our businesses, come see the culture of really Atlanta through Southwest Atlanta. A lot of mayors still live over here. So people like who've been in position of power, they understand the value of what it means to live here. So why don't people who visit Atlanta understand the value of coming to see and patronize the business that we have over here? So those are just three things that I think I could really add value to through serving on Atlanta City Council.
That's really interesting. So you said a couple of things that I want to kind of piggyback off of before we go on to another topic, but you mentioned safety in the city of Atlanta, and I would be remiss if I don't bring up one of the biggest things that's affecting the city of Atlanta, and that's Cop City. Obviously, a lot of residents in the city of Atlanta have a lot of concerns and issues about Cop City, given the current political climate, the current presidential administration, and just everything that's going on in the world right now. Is Cop City really the best answer? And is that the best look for the city of Atlanta?
Yeah, I don't know the major influence or motivation. Like I don't have firsthand accounts of what inspired Cop City, me personally. By the time that I would be elected, I would start serving January 1st next year. Cop City's already here. So there's nothing I can do about having that discussion about getting rid of it or it not being completed. It's here. It's already graduated its first class. Like, so it's here. So I'm dealing with the process of it now existing. Now, how do we operate with it being here? And my opinion is, and as I'm having conversations around my community and around the city abroad, you hear a lot of concerns about Cop City because people don't want to be over policed. And people often don't want, not often, but they also don't want their police to be militarized. And I'm not saying that's exactly what they're doing in Cop City, but that's the expectation that a lot of people have. And with that, as you talk to older folks in the community, if I had to give an age on definitely seniors, but let's just say 50 and above, seniors that I've taken from the conversation that I've had, their approach to public safety is police will keep us safe. Like you sit down in these folks' living room and you talk to them, or you go to your local MPU meetings, which are neighborhood planning units, that have a lot of power, by the way. I definitely want to talk about those. Where every city department is on these MPU meetings, and people can tell the departments from fire to watershed to public works and even the police department. It's always a representative present at these meetings, which happen once a month. which is just a collection of neighborhoods meeting to keep updated around things going on in the city. And these older folks are constantly asking about more police presence, constantly. And I'm often the youngest person on these calls, like by far. And I'm 35. There's often no 20-year-olds on there. But when you think about all the people who, and I'm not saying they're not older people against Cop City, but when you see the pictures or you see the people that are most vocal or these organizations, it's oftentimes a lot of young people. And I just think there's a disconnect from what the city's hearing when they're hearing from older people. So these are real people, older people who are saying, hey, there was somebody walking around my neighborhood at night. My car got broken into last week. I want more police presence to watch that. Do you have young people saying, no, we don't need more surveillance. We don't need more police presence. But these are both people who live in the same area. So what's going on? I just think there has to be better communication to say, okay, this is what I feel, this is what I feel, and the city can make the best decision. But also understanding that there's personal responsibility in how we care about each other. And I know we can't know every single person in Atlanta, but if we have this develop a way of mutual care about each other, and I don't know if it's neighborhood watch. I don't know if someone said, hey, I'm gonna take this shift, I'm gonna do this shift, or you just take a day and get to know your neighbors, you're less likely to harm someone that you know. And I think the more familiar and we take self-responsibility of caring about each other, that will lead to less crime, which will lead to less police, which everybody will be happy because everybody's safe. So it's figuring out initiatives to find a way to me, become more community focused, whether that's throwing more events where we have more generational communication to where we all are, we love and respect each other to where no harm will happen to where more police presence is needed. But again, there has to be better communication from all generations to the city because I'm telling you, the city is only hearing from that older generation and they're taking heed to what they say. So if we have an MPU meeting and there's 1,200 people living in this MPU, but only 20 show up for the meeting and 5 of those 20 are saying, I want more police, the city is hearing those 5 people say, I want more police. So where are the voices that are saying, no, we don't want more police because we're doing this instead? I'm telling you, the city's not hearing that, at least in these methods. They may hear them in city council meetings or on the news, but in these, I'm telling you, it holds so much weight. So that's just my opinion on that.
Right. Well, again, like I said, given the current political climate, everyone remembers not 5 years ago the pandemic. We remember the riots, the protesting, the marching in the streets, seeing militarized police in Atlanta blocking protests or doing what they were doing, going from the cops on the bikes situation to actually bringing out military gear, and seeing how this transfolded in other cities, like up in Minneapolis, like in Portland, Oregon, and Chicago, so many other places, Washington, D.C., so many places around the city. You would have to think that those memories are fresh in the hearts and minds of the people of the city of Atlanta. Everybody remembers what the city was like during then, them breaking into the CNN Center, having all of that, marching up to Lennox, with everything that's going on is in the world. And I know you just said you don't really know the clear answer, but you feel like we should communicate. Do you think it's a bad look for the city of Atlanta to be focusing more on its police presence, given that Atlanta itself is a blackity black city, and then parts of Atlanta is super black.
Mine,
Um,
my district's 96% black.
yeah,
So,
see, I was about to bring that up. Is it a good look for the city of Atlanta to be wanting to go down this route of training, building police, cop city, I'm sorry, cop city, and wanting to invest in better training for local police officers?
yeah. So when I answer the question with I don't know factually what the motivations were, I have my assumptions. So my
Okay.
assumptions are because Atlanta is an international city that always has these international and national events going on, and plus we want more people to come and live here. There's the perception of safety. When I say we, like Atlanta wants more in the sense of like more money, more taxes, increase the budget.
No,
I know
I
we're
get that.
cool.
The city
Yeah,
wants more, but
yeah,
personally, y'all can stay where y'all live. Atlanta
right.
is. I'm tired of traffic at 11 o'clock at night. It makes no sense. Why is there traffic at 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. But there's the perception of in order to attract more people here, whether they're visiting or living here or moving here, it's we have to make them feel like they're safe. So my assumption, again, I haven't talked to any city official to explain. This is Steven's opinion about just how I see it, is that makes it look safer to come to Atlanta. So when you're coming, when the world is coming here for World Cup, that helps make it look like I'll be okay in Atlanta because look, they just built Cop City to make sure I'm safe when I visit. So in my opinion, that's the motivation to keep Atlanta an international city and make those who live here, but also attract those who don't live here yet and want to visit more attractive to me. So in that perspective, I understand why it's done if that is the real reason. I get you got to make people feel nobody's going to come to a place they don't feel safe. When it comes to residents who live here, like me and you, I understand how it's a bad look because it's going to make people feel like they're being over policed. Like that's
Right.
just what it is. It's hard to debate that. And you can say, hey, the police are here to serve. We want to do better with the community. That's not people's lived experience. And that's something they got to work on. And then again, I say it's self-accountability to where if a community truly cares and loves each other, there's a way, like if this same reason why there's no police in a Buckhead or Midtown area. Not saying they don't have their share of problems, but behavior often like leads to what police happens, and it's cause and effect. And again, I know there's a lot of loopholes. We know black folks are over policed. Like I could say, hey, you be on your best behavior, and police are still going to be there. That could be very well true. But if we do care about each other, love each other, respect each other, and not when I say don't give them a reason, I'm not saying like they pull you over in a car. I'm saying no shooting up your neighborhood, no breaking into someone's car, no do simple things like that. Let's just ask for help. Let's ask for resources to say, what do you need to where you don't have to take from someone else? And then that way nobody's asking about, can we have a police beat on this corner of the neighborhood at 3 in the morning because somebody broke into someone's car? We don't need a beat if there's no crime. So for me, it's a combination of both. But I understand it's a good look to the outside world. It's a bad look for residents because no one wants to be over policed.
Exactly. And I think you said it best. No one wants to be over police. Just going up 75, 85. I'm like, it's just too many police out here right now.
Yeah.
Georgia's so kind of hot right now. It must be the first of the month. Must
Right,
be.
right. Did that quota?
Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
many tickets. Man, I love Atlanta, but I hate Atlanta sometimes. But no, seriously, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
Same.
You brought up Atlanta being an international city. Now we about to talk about the money of Atlanta. Atlanta got some money.
Yeah.
Atlanta got some money.
You
And it
saw
got
that
some
budget that just got passed. $3
right.
billion.
Oh man, that's another thing I'm kind of mad about. Like, okay, I appreciate they're doing the G dot maintenance and preparing for the World Cup and stuff, but can you do it better? I was so late for work last night because they blocking off all the exits all week long, just going up 75 or 85. I'm just like, no, like, why? It's already so much traffic. Like, why are you doing this? I
Yeah, we
swear
have
to
our
God.
own issues on this side of town with that. There's actually a community meeting. Well, I don't know when this is gonna come out, but it's soon. It's right around the corner about some of our roads and stuff like that. So that hit close to home. We got some personal experience with that.
Yeah, and you're in Cascade. I have family over there, and every time I have to go, not have to, but when I want to go over there and see my family, it's just traffic off Cascade Road. I'm like, man, y'all gonna have to
That's
FaceTime me or
exactly
something. Like,
that's exactly what it's about. Yeah, they're still working on that road. You got to take all kind of back streets, like you said, the traffic. That's exactly what the meeting is about with our current council member Overstreet. So she's kind of hosting in the Department of Transportation. So that's exactly it. Yeah.
okay, but again, Atlanta's an international city. Atlanta got that money. We're getting the FIFA World Cup. We're getting, I think hosting a Super Bowl in a couple of years.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. I want to say that earlier, but I wasn't sure, but I think so. Yep.
Yeah, we better be. And so many other big tournaments that come in and out of the city. As far as entertainment wise, Atlanta's like the Black Hollywood or the second Hollywood, if you want to call it that.
Plus the film industry.
Hearts,
Yeah.
right. Hartsfield Jackson International Airport, busiest airport in the world, thanks to Delta. Atlanta has a lot of stuff going for itself. Atlanta's still big in the music scene right now, obviously thanks to you and so many other people. A lot of people are coming to this city of Atlanta. Atlanta is making a lot of money. And what you said earlier, you're right. Places like Cascade, like the West End, Covington Highway, East Point, all these areas in Atlanta kind of do seem to miss out on the revenue stream when all these big events are happening. There's a couple of reasons behind that. Because again, Atlanta is a black city, but there are parts of Atlanta that's just so black, you kind of get it. Like, because again, like Atlanta has a culture. Atlanta has a rich, beautiful, amazing culture, but it also has a history and certain, let's say, certain areas of the city of Atlanta are known for to be a little rough. Let's just say that,
Yeah. Fair.
You know it. You lived here all your life,
Yeah.
so a lot of these things can have negative incantations of how people view the area. But these are like nice area full of like amazing, talented people who deserve to get their piece of the pie, if that makes sense.
Right.
So what are some of the financial issues that are affecting your district
Yeah.
specifically?
Yeah, we can start with that. Like the businesses that we have over here, like they are extremely black from Barrio ATL, which is a place I often frequently, to the Beautiful being right there, which is a legendary soul food restaurant. We got Norris and was it Norris and Market Norris and Bloom, excuse me, Norris and Bloom Market, which is the first kind of AI market to where you just have an app, scan to get in, you come 24 hours, get fruit, food, all kinds of snacks, stuff for your house. We got JR Crickets right there on Cascade. It's big that Thursday and Friday nights are crazy. And all of course, Greenbrier Mall. And there's plenty of room for new businesses in Greenbrier Mall around that area. And also, but Camden Road still needs a grocery store. Like it's still a food desert over there on Camden Road. But as well as we have these businesses that I often frequent, and I think are always a good time and truly represent the essence of Southwest Atlanta. I think we could bring more. Right at home is a furniture store that just had their re-grand opening because they've been around the area, but that was amazing. I was there. A couple other candidates were there. Councilwoman Overstreet was there. It was a beautiful event. So we have businesses that people can come see and frequent and patronize. But when we talk about these huge events coming, like my district, I have the Atlanta part of Camp Creek, but we don't have any hotels. Basically, there's no hotels on Camden Road, no hotels on Cascade. So you got to stay in East Point on Camp Creek to come to our area. So that's also a thing. There's nowhere to where you stay in Midtown or Buckhead. You stay at a hotel, you can kind of walk, or it's a 1 minute car ride versus coming to our district. Even if we want you to experience things, you got to stay two exits up to experience what we have. And I don't know if we have the room for hotels. That's something, once I truly look at, hopefully when I'm elected, I can look at all the information and determine what's feasible. But I know for us, bringing more business over that makes it attractive for people to make the trip under the current circumstances, that would be something that's extremely important to me. So that's working with the private sector. And that's something I learned under Andrew Young's mayoral tenure is like because he was ambassador under President Jimmy Carter, he had a lot of international relationships, and that what led to kind of us getting the Olympics and having these international relationships. So
Oh,
even if my reach isn't international, my reach in the private sector is to hopefully attract more people to have businesses and understand Southwest Atlanta is an important part of Atlanta. So this is how you take advantage. You don't have to pay those expensive rents downtown and midtown. You can come pay a little cheaper over here, and let's help build this area. So when we look back 20 and 30 years, we could say you were part of that development that really uplifted and really economically developed Southwest Atlanta.
okay, that's very interesting. So no, you're right. Going back to what you said, like we did get the Olympics because of all the connections that was made during that time. I'm not sure if you remember this because I'm like 3 years older than you, so I remember like it's part of one of my earliest memories. But I remember watching TV when they announced the Olympics coming to Atlanta. And like how the infrastructure just like rapidly started increasing, and just how much the city had changed in like a 4 or 5 year span. And again, I was like a little kid, so I grew up watching Atlanta being built up. By the time you was born, it was Atlanta. You were right there at the Olympics, so you're a '90s baby. I'm from the late '80s. What do you remember about old Atlanta, or from what people have told you about old Atlanta versus the Atlanta we have now? And do you think that Atlanta has come up in a good sense since like the late '80s, early '90s version of Atlanta, Freaknik Atlanta to International City Atlanta?
Yeah. So I have a unique perspective. So, when people say when you get out of Atlanta, you're in Georgia.
Mhm.
So when my parents moved down to Henry County, my dad worked on MLK, like right there by the Chick-fil-A where it is now. So I was in the heart of the city, not every day, but when I would go to work with my dad, especially during the summers, the Bronner Brothers office used to be right there before they moved to Windy Hill at a certain point. So like, and then of course when they divorced, I was at Greenbrier Mall every weekend and Underground, etc. When I could drive, especially. So what I always remember in context of growing up in McDonough, Georgia, and then going to Atlanta with my dad was always understanding just like feeling like black people could do anything they wanted to in Atlanta. Like not, I'm saying like career wise, but like nothing was. I never seen a black doctor. I never seen a black dentist. I never seen a black entrepreneur. I never seen a black professor. Like MLK was right there by the AUC. So even as a child, I saw black students in higher education. I saw black professors. But I said my dad worked for Bronner Brothers, so a family where all the kids helped with the company. They weren't kids, they were adults, but I'm saying the Bronner dad and then all his kids ran the company. Like seeing a family have and run the Bronner Brothers hair show twice a year that I worked every year as a kid selling magazines or even like helping out with the hair products like stocking on the desk. So growing up in old Atlanta, I just and the feeling is still same today. It's like you just never feel like the impossible is impossible. You see it all. The blueprint has been laid. You see it everywhere. And I think Atlanta has done a good job too, even to this day. Is we always put the city first. Like whatever your endeavor is, it's like I know I have to make the city look good. And I think the music industry is a good representation of that. Is how people always look at us as this city of camaraderie, and all our rappers and all our producers are always so tight. But that could be applied to politics. That could be applied to entrepreneurship, to where we understand that we all collectively make Atlanta look better. So we have to play our roles in order for the city to look better. I'm trying to think of something that's a contrast to now and then, but the most obvious thing to me is, of course, with the young folks in the sense that I don't think the young folks have a place to go. And when I say don't have a place, it could be them simply just not going. But I feel like I said, I'm 35 and I'm still moving in a way to where the places that I'm going should be the young people's places. But as a 35-year-old, they're still our place. Like it's weird. Like when we were coming up, and I remember I was in college. Peter Street was a big place for us, and there were older people there too. But we could walk there from Clark, Atlanta. So like Peter
Right.
Street was a big thing. Of course, the Edgewood days, which that's how I kind of took over my music with OG Maco and Key and Father and McConan. When we took over Edgewood, we were definitely the young kids running up and down the Edgewood bar scene. But like now, when I go out, and not just nightlife, but when you go out, I don't know where the youth is. I don't know, like even being in college when they used to have the buses lined up to take it because everybody's coming, they don't have a car. They would have buses to go to the club. Like I don't know where 20 to 27-year-olds go. I don't know. Like, and that's what if you want to culturally see what the young folks in Atlanta doing nowadays. Back in the day, I could tell you, oh, go here. You hear the stories of club with 599, 595, the library. I've been to Velvet Room, but I caught the back end. But like you hear all these stories of man, or Freaknik, whatever it is. Every generation kind of have a story of like this is where we were. This is on this side of town is what we did. Like I just went to an event with the legendary Pearl Clay, and there's a documentary done about the Zebra Club that she ran with her husband Zeke, and they were talking about how they had politicians and people from all over the world come to visit them. Like every generation had something. And I
Right.
don't know what the internet is there. Like, and Atlanta's kind of always been known for having concrete places, whether it's a park. There's like, man, every Saturday we was at Welcome All Park. Like, I don't know. I just don't know where the youth I can say, oh yeah, you want to go see what our young folks are doing nowadays? Go here. And that's a difference that I'm seeing now.
I think that has a lot to do with the current generation, versus say Atlanta itself, but that's probably a conversation for a whole nother
Yeah,
day.
but I agree with that too. I don't think it's just an Atlanta issue. I think it's a generational thing.
Right, right. Because Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they're not spending money like how even millennials were. Hell, I'm a millennial, you're one
Yeah.
too. I am very cheap and frugal because money do not grow on trees and neither does PTO and time off. And as a working adult, hell, I hang out at work. That's where I hang
Yeah.
out at.
I hear you. I hear you.
So you kind of alluded to something that you said. There's Atlanta, and then there's the rest of Georgia. We've seen it in every election cycle. We see it in the culture. I grew up here in Atlanta, and I swear to God, I thought Atlanta was its own state, and then Georgia just happened to surround Atlanta. Then I'm like, oh, it's the same thing, but it's not. It's not.
Right.
You go past Clayton County, different side of different Georgia. Go past
Yeah.
Conyers or Covington or go too far north or west, you in a whole different state. Obviously, majority of the population of the state of Georgia lives within the Piedmont region or within the Metro Atlanta area, which has a lot to do with that. But like, what do you think are the why do you think there's such a big difference between Atlanta and then the rest of the state?
I don't know what I can point to like this was the point, but my understanding, of course, Maynard being elected is a major
Right.
thing. It might have been some things before then, but you can really start at Maynard Ford, the first black mayor of Atlanta, and we all know the impact that he had in the city. And I think him really setting the standard of the emphasis of being an equitable city. I always, before I even decided to get into politics, I always tell people my perspective in politics. Maynard messed up my perspective in politics. That's why, and you follow me on TikTok and social media. Like, I'm very opinionated, but I also understand the power that politicians have because of Maynard. Like, the way he put his foot down and got things done and transformed Atlanta makes me, and he was a mayor. So, like, I definitely don't have time for senators and governors and Congress people who have larger districts and almost more power than him. I don't want to hear those excuses. But the way he wielded his power to get things done on behalf of the people, that's why I'm so tough on politicians or when people make excuses. I'm like, I've seen what can be done right here in my city. Like, I saw it. So when you, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the question, but you said, like, how did we become the city that we did versus Georgia? So I don't know the date of when, what was the Techwood? I think it was Techwood that was the first federally funded project. We definitely, Atlanta had the first federally funded projects in the country. I don't know if that was under Maynard or before, but even that shows that there was some focus of equity that people found that need to be in Atlanta. Like, we need to provide this federally funded housing project so people can afford to live here. And that's what that tells me, is that people knew the value of being an affordable city has to play a part in building Atlanta to be a competitive city. I would assume they would say nationally back then. So then you get Maynard, who makes a conscious effort to make sure the cities, the business, the commerce, the economy is just as equitable as the population. So when we get the airport that was supposed to be in Alabama, and he was willing to risk it to say the people who are going to develop and build this airport is going to be the same percentage of the construction companies that are here. So if we got 10 construction companies, six of them, the population is 60% white, 40% black, we're gonna have six white construction companies, we're gonna have four black, like, we're gonna even it out to where everybody is equitable in this city. And the fact, he said, when we build the airport, it's gonna be the same thing with the businesses inside it. We're gonna have this percentage white, this percentage black that is reflective of the city. And we could have lost that airport to Alabama. They could have said, you know what, we don't want to deal with this. We're going to Birmingham. I think it was supposed to be in Birmingham. But the fact that he kept his foot down and understood that if you're going to build this airport here, it's going to be equitable. Like, we appreciate the business on it, but it's going to look like this. And he got it done. And the same thing goes to the police force. He made sure to change the police force to say, if you're going to serve and police this city, it has to be equitable in a way that it reflects the population of the city. Same thing. And I think him just really putting his foot down and making sure that city government, police, business, economy, all of that matched the city's population, which I don't know how it got there. I don't know how Atlanta had all these black folks. I don't know. I don't have that answer. But his efforts really, I think, and everybody doesn't have a leader like that. Maynard is truly, what you talk about him. What's the guy from DC everybody loves, even though he got caught with drugs, everybody still loves.
Barry?
Yeah, Barry. Yeah, they love him too. Like, it seems like Andrew Jackson, Maynard Jackson, and Marion Barry are just like, they're in a league of their own. There's also a Detroit mayor everybody loves too, a black guy. But yeah, I just think with his efforts, it really set Atlanta down a path that just, like, he blazed a trail that really nobody saw coming. The man attended Morehouse at 14. Like, it's just, Maynard's just one of one. So I give a lot of kudos to him, his administration, and really everybody in Atlanta during that time.
That's strike two for your nerd card, sir. You just pontificated some black American politician history, and like, there's some stuff I didn't even know in there, or I guess I forgot. But yeah, that's strike two for your nerd card, sir. You I don't think you can be a politician or like be involved in what you do and have a love for the city that you love and not like be so passionate about it. And that passion is what makes you nerdy, and you just kind of showed it right there. Your nerd card is showing. You it comes up when you're talking about Atlanta. So all right, I got you. I got you. Since we are talking about the city I love, I gotta talk about the thing because we already joked about it, so we might as well talk about it. Atlanta has a really big issue. It's a big issue, and they call it transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta's a car city, 100%. And before
100%.
people in my audience scream in the comments, what about Marta? That's what we're been finna talk about. So, with Atlanta being an international city, a lot of international cities have ways to have its population move about that city. Atlanta has a transportation issue, and it's called MARTA. It's other things too, but I want to talk about MARTA and future expansion of its services because if we're asking more people to come to the city as the metro population is growing, we need a way to rapidly move the residents throughout the city of Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I definitely think water needs to be expanded, especially with the emphasis of the Beltline. And people are trying to make Atlanta a more walkable or biking city. So that's even part of the Department of Transportation. But with that, we still need equitable transportation methods, like I said in MARTA. And I know we're dealing with that in Southwest Atlanta because it seems to be for a forgotten project, but I haven't forgotten in the Camden Road corridor where there was supposed to be a $300 million project about either bringing light rail transit, like I forgot what side of town is getting it. Forgive me, but or rapid bus transit. So the trail, I mean the light rail is something like Edgewood, like you see that light rail going around Auburn Avenue and somebody. So we had that was a potential method, and then bus is just when they create a lane strictly for the bus, so they don't have to stop with other car. They just it's just rapid bus transit, and they specifically wanted it down Camden Road, and it was going to other areas in Southwest Atlanta. But I know light rail would be more efficient, but it's more expensive. But either way it goes, there was a when I say an incident, I'm not saying something specifically happened, but there was something around the money not being there anymore. They committed $300 million to it around 2016, 17, or 18. And then it's like, okay, we got it. We're going to get money from here. Marta's going to do this. The city's going to provide this. Third party's going to provide this. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, yeah, we're missing 100 something million. Like, we can't afford to do it anymore. And it just nothing happened. And there's just nothing going on now. So for my side of town specifically, I do want to bring that back up around that Camilton Road corridor, around MARTA, bringing that either light rail transit or rapid bus transit there. But citywide, we definitely should be extending MARTA to make us a more equitable community with transportation. If the Beltline is the grand project to bring Atlanta together, cool. But MARTA, extending MARTA has to be a part of that conversation as well. To me, it doesn't make sense to focus on one and just be like, oh, MARTA's okay. Like, we got to do both.
Marta is not
Yeah.
okay. Marta is the reason why
I think the focus is
I
just on the
will
Beltline,
always
man.
pay for a car in Atlanta. Cannot do Marta no more because, like, first of all, you've been on Marta before.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yes.
Marta only go up, down, left, right, and a
Right.
little bit that way. You can't really go too many places on Marta. Don't get me wrong. If you just focus on the city core, you're trying to get out to maybe Covenant Highway, West End, whatever,
Yeah.
maybe. But between train delayments and just bus services, if they're single tracking, if somebody jumped on the train tracks, if that dude down at 5 Points yelling
Mhm.
and got his sign up, anything could affect how MARTA operates. And if MARTA is struggling to operate, and then so is the city's highway system, 85, 75, 285, 400, and you having all those issues, the city essentially can't move and function when you cut
Yeah.
off these veins and arteries. I've spent so many hours of my life stuck in Atlanta traffic just waiting to go 5 minutes down the street, and it takes an hour to get 5 minutes down the street. I've been on the trains when there's seagull tracking. I got to get to work in 2 hours, but it take me 5 hours to get there because reasons, and the bus ain't working, and he had to stop at Chick-fil-A while we're like 50 people on the bus.
Yeah.
Atlanta be Atlanta-ing sometimes.
Hmm.
It's too much. But I agree. I think we do need to expand MARTA. I remember something. Oh my God, I'm old. It was back when I was in high school, so this was like 20 years ago, where they came out with something where they was gonna connect like Kennesaw and Marietta,
Hmm.
Sonoya, Fayetteville, Macon, a lot of the areas around Atlanta, connect them with transit via building heavy rail stations and things like that. And I thought that
Yeah.
was such a good idea. It's such a heavy populated area. We need something in place to where we can get to Kennesaw and Macon and Savannah and all this and that via a transit system. And I think that's one of the things that's truly stopping Atlanta from being truly an international city like your New Yorks, your LAs, your Tokyos, your Parises, your Londons. DC even has a really unique metro system and a double belt line for their traffic. So like we need more infrastructure there in place in the city. to grow if we're going to truly be an international city.
Yeah, again, I haven't gotten any formal information or insight, but my assumption would be you got to want to do it first. So I'm
Right.
not accusing anybody of not wanting to, but you got to want to do it, and then you got to find the money. Like if I told you, it cost $300 million allegedly to build something in Camden Road. Now we're talking about the whole city and even going to more cities. We're talking about billions of dollars. So I assume the reason it hasn't been done is the cost. And people, like I said, if they're trying to attract all these people to Atlanta, if this is so expensive, they're going to try to do other things that are not as expensive that can happen quicker to try to attract and not, and they're going to keep that to the back burner. That's my assumption. Like I said, no insight, but
Again, I don't have a lot of insight, but I do know my city, and this is going to answer the last three talking points that we talked about from what's the difference between the Georgia and the city of Atlanta and everything else that we're talking about. The main reason, and we both know this living in Atlanta, why we can't get the money to build heavy rails to update MARTA and expand more in the metro area is because the people who don't live in the city of Atlanta don't want that. I'm gonna just say it like this. There are people who commute to Atlanta. They don't want Atlanta to commute to them, if that makes sense.
that makes perfect
Um,
sense. Perfect sense.
so that's a lot of reason why Atlanta has some of the issues that it has. The city has money. The state has money. Hell, I remember we got COVID assistance, and the state of Georgia had well over $1 billion surplus, and we're
Mhm.
getting like extra refund checks and stuff like that from the state of Georgia, which
Hey,
has
yep.
never
Them
happened
gift
before.
cards and all that. Yep, I remember.
Right. So the state got money. It's just people in some of these areas, the reason why there's a difference between the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia don't want that to happen. Without saying it in so many words,
Yeah,
if that makes
I'm with you on
sense.
that. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Makes
Right.
perfect sense.
So let me ask you, what does it take to run for city council? Because this is not free. You going out campaigning, canvassing the city, I'm sure you having to invest into your campaign, making signs, things like that. None of this is cheap. So what does it take to run for city council in today's America?
Yeah, so I have a few different answers. Because what does it take? You just got to meet the requirements. So if you care about, and I say you don't care about your community if you don't run, but if you care to serve your community in this realm, all you have to do is be above 18, live in your district for I think at least a year. And there's one more oh, you can't work for the city. You can't run and simultaneously. You could have worked for the city, but you can't work for the city of Atlanta and run at the same time.
Right.
Um, so those are the only requirements. After that, if you don't want to spend a dime and you just want to go out and talk to people every day, that's fine. Now, this is my first campaign, so I don't know all the numbers of like if somebody who's a consultant who's been in for 20 years, they can say, look, the winners of the past whatever years of city council, they raise $500,000 to like that's just what the bare minimum if you want to win. I don't have all that information, but what I do know is just what I'm spending now. Fundraising is a part of it, and you hope people invest in you because they believe in you, and then that's where you want to spend your money. Do people spend their own personal money? Absolutely. I'm just assuming nobody's ever told, but is what I'm experiencing if you're not raising money, maybe you got to, but hopefully you raise all your money to where you can only spend the campaign funds, and that's really it. You do what you can with what you have, and after that, it's all passion. And are you going to get out there and door knock? Are you going to talk to people like you at Blerdkast and whatever it takes? So the requirements are those three things I mentioned before, but regarding funds and money, it's just what you do with what you have. Because at the end of the day, you really just want to talk to as many people as possible. And of course, the money goes to those resources to where can you throw an event? Can you pay for the signs? It's all visibility and marketing at the end of the day. So you can have the best message and be the best candidate, but if people don't know about you, it doesn't matter. So that's really what all the campaign funds are for, is to be visible and marketable.
Right. Does it help to already have a leg up in the race, like in your specific situation, like certain people that are already working within government, certain leaders within the community already because of your past career and just how you are with the city of Atlanta. You are somebody who goes out and communicates with his community and is known. So is it easier for someone like you in your position who's already known a bit in the area to run for city council, or can anyone just jump into politics?
Yeah, I mean anyone can jump into it, but what I'm experiencing is it's definitely a benefit that I'm already known. I'm really known citywide, not just in the district, so that could play a role in it. I know more people abroad than like insulated, but that's not an issue at all because I'm around where I live too. So it's definitely a benefit, especially on social media. Like I said, I'm the youngest. Me and another guy are the same age, so we're the youngest in the race. But I'm the most popular on social media by far. That's not even trying to be cocky. If you look at all the candidates, like I'm clearly the most, like by a long shot. Like,
Right.
so
No,
there's
no, no. I kind of saw that when I did my
yeah.
research. I was like, dang,
So
all
so the
right.
reach is wider for me on social media. So that is a benefit. Of course, my reputation, my family name, that is a benefit as well. Like when I have conversations, especially with older people, and I say Dingle, that name, especially for a black guy, they're like, I know the Dingles. And then they'll bring up my uncle. And I'm like, yep, that's my uncle. So there's a benefit with being known already. And him being in government allowed me, and myself as well. I've known some political people on my own merit, but I definitely have wielded some benefits. Of course, it matters that everybody gets up and goes and votes. But as far as my visibility and my marketing ability, it definitely has helped that I've been in the scene for quite some time. Yeah.
Before we move on to like your content, which is definitely something I want to talk about, I do want to bring up
Oh, can
a
I say
lot
something
of
else real quick? I'm sorry. One second. I
go for
forgot
it.
to say that one part. Was that also I'm in spaces that a lot of people haven't seen a political figure in as well. Like when I was talking about I go to these places where you would think young folks would be, but we're still the life of the party. Like a lot of people don't know their council person. So the fact that I'm even a candidate and they see like Steve, everybody calls me Steveo still. Like Steveo, you run for city council. I don't even know a city council person. You're the first person I know. So that also helps too, that because of my popularity and I'm getting into politics, people now feel more politically aware because they can say, I've known him and he's getting into politics. So I'm helping bring an awareness to local politics, regardless if I win or not, if I'm in their district or not. People are now paying attention because I'm in it. They're like, hey, I live in Henry County, I live in Fayette County, I live in whatever Swanee, but I'm watching you and I'm just want to see how the campaign. So that also helps as well. So I apologize for interrupting, but definitely want
No,
to say,
no, that's cool because actually that's a perfect segue to another topic that I wanted to talk to you about. You are not in a lot of spaces where politicians are. I see a lot of politicians on TikTok, especially in the Democratic Party, because of them just using it as a tool to try to connect to young people. But you aren't really doing that because you're using TikTok as a tool to just make content first. And by coincidence, the young people are there. They already know you because you were there in that space. So when you are on social media and you're doing your campaigning and things like that, and you're talking, it doesn't seem like you're pandering to the people that are on the platform, which is another thing that I appreciate about you because during the election, 2024 election, that's all you saw was Democrats and Republicans just being on the app pandering, but not actually talking about real issues that the people on TikTok care about, the young people. So with that said, back when we were corresponding, I ran across one of your videos and you were talking about how do you get young people to the polls, how do you get young people to vote, care about their city, care about social justice, and to care about politics because like you said, you're not in every space that normal politicians are. You don't look like a normal politician. You got locks.
yeah,
You out there repping your Atlanta hat
yeah.
with the A, and you're always repping the Falcons or some local team. Hell, it's Pride Month. You even did an interview where you had the A hat with the Pride flag on, and
I
you were
got two of
just
those hats, by the way. That's not just a thing, but yeah, I owned that hat before that video, so I didn't get
okay.
that video.
Right, but like the fact that you're even doing that because like Atlanta is Atlanta, and then Atlanta is Atlanta, if you know what that means.
Yeah,
So like it's like I would have never seen someone like you, especially growing up. Like I grew up in Stone Mountain area, Covenant Highway area. You gotta look and act and present yourself a certain way, especially back in the late 90s, early 2000s, stuff like that. You can't be soft or even being on the internet and just saying, your appreciations for the LGBTQ community would have been seen as soft. So like you are doing things differently. Why are you doing things differently? And is this how you are trying to connect to the younger audience, or not even the younger voters or constituents, but just more people who generally just are to be honest, tired of politics and government right now, given how the last 12 years have gone.
This is just me. I will say that that's how I am normally. I do believe in decorum and just in a certain way. That's why every interview I do, or if I'm speaking like at an engagement, I'm always going to have a collar shirt on. Like for now, it's a polo. It may be a suit. It may be a button down, but I'm always going to be presentable in that way when I am the focus of speaking publicly. If I'm sitting at home or I'm moving around with my kids, I'm going to wear what I want to wear. Like, and
Okay.
it's funny because I'm kind of preparing for people to like maybe critique me on that. But like I this is me. I'm always honest. I screenshot every time there's a city council person on their Instagram in regular clothes. So they'll look like me. It's just that I can't help that I like fitted hats instead of dad hats. Or if I wear my Mifflin button up, which is an Atlanta-based company, and the owner actually went to Clark Atlanta with me. Shout
Mm,
out Kobe. But if I'm wearing, because a lot of my bills I got on Mifflin. But if I were that, and then a council person has on like the equivalent in their own style, I'm just ready for people to say, you don't dress like a council person. It's like, ah, there's already council people who dress like this when they have events with Parks and Recreation, when they're doing things in the community. And that's what I'm saying. I'm moving around on my day-to-day mission. Like, this is how I dress normally. And I can't help that. Like, I don't know if you look at fitted hats, or I don't know a certain way versus dad hats, but they're both hats. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So I'm not going to apologize for the way that I dress because I know I like my pants are on my hip. Everything's neat. Everything's fine. Like, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not degrading. I'm not doing anything like that. So I'm always going to feel comfortable being myself. And I just know that does relate to people. And they haven't, like I said, they haven't seen a politician look like me. I was talking to one of my friends whose mom is a judge for the city, and she was telling me like, she even calls me Steve, but she's like, "Steve, I love that you're running, but 20 years ago you would have had to cut those locks." So like, I
right.
understand the perspective of like, this is something a lot of people haven't seen before, even in current day. But also when it comes to politics, a lot of people don't want to be talked to about politics. They just want to like, if you want to talk about it, they just want to like talk about it. Don't make them feel dumb. Don't like make it seem like you know more than them. Like when I was at SWAT's day, you can see on my TikTok or Instagram, like I'm moving around at this is a block party off Camden Road. Like this ain't a place. I was the only candidate there, but this is our district. This is our constituency. Like I'm out there passing around stickers. I'm just letting them know. A lot of people saw my social media. It's like, oh, I saw you. But the fact that I was there were some people who may have been like, nah, bro, I'm cool. Cool. Now you still saw me. So if I win
Right.
or you see me on a debate or you see me on social media, you'll be like, oh, I saw him at SWAT's Day. I know what he looks like. Oh, he tried to give me a sticker, whatever. That alone to me will galvanize people because again, they don't see their city officials out like that. Like, and I just think it reinforces that, you know what, politics may be all right. Or maybe I should get into it. Like, okay, Steve O was in it. Let me see what's going on. So it's when I say it's intentional, it's what I was going to do anyway, but I know it's paying off as well as it bringing in people to care more about politics they may not have if I wasn't running.
And again, like I said, I see you on both of your platforms on TikTok all the time. That's where I mainly follow you from, and you are all over the city. With that said, Atlanta is a very nerdy place. And again, you mentioned that you don't see yourself as a nerd, but Atlanta does a lot of nerdy things between
Mhm.
conventions like this weekend is Ranger Stop and Pop. A couple weeks ago was MomoCon. Dragon Con is a really huge,
I know
big
Dragon
event.
Con.
Rather you or if you live in Atlanta, you have heard of Dragon Con, you have seen it, you've driven down Peachtree Street and like, what is this?
Yeah.
ha, you haven't have you experienced any of the nerdy side of Atlanta, like the traditional what you would think of as nerdy side of Atlanta, cosplayers and big anime and nerd conventions and things like that, or is that something that you haven't experienced yet, as far as Atlanta culture?
Yeah, I haven't engulfed myself in it. When you talk about that, I used to ride the MARTA. Yeah, when I was in college, I lived by Greenbrier Mall and used to have to ride the MARTA to it's the Artma Hotel. It's closed now, but the building's still up. Right, it's the Art Center station. So it's right on West Peachtree and 16th, right by Atlantic Station. So a lot of people would stay there during Dragon Con. So that's probably as close as I got to like seeing it, everybody leaving the hotel, coming in. And of course, like I said, riding down Peachtree and seeing it. But like actually watching them congregate as they're cosplaying in there out and seeing the conversations, that's probably as close as I got to being engulfed in it. But I have several friends that are into the scene. It's just I never participate in anything. But I have a good friend, Jasmine. She runs the platform. I don't know if you're familiar, Black Women in Costume. I know it's a big Instagram account, got like maybe almost 100,000 followers. So like she's somebody who really put me down on like the cosplay culture for Black women specifically in Atlanta. And I was just like, whoa, I didn't know it was this huge. So anime, I know this typical Naruto and Dragon Ball Z. So on that side,
I'm gonna say you gotta know at least those two.
yeah, I know those two, but and then after that, of course, I was a Pokemon guy. I still got a Game Boy with the yellow Pokemon game and the Game Boy, the Pikachu Game Boy. But even video games, I'm just a sports guy. I never like the first shooter games. I'm just Madden, 2K. So I'm saying it's just that's why I don't want to take credit for the nerd because I like to be proud of things that like if I was gonna be in it, I'm gonna be in it. So I can't consider myself a nerd when there's so much like people who are really in it if they want to identify as that. But like I just feel like I don't want a false claim. I know you're giving me the nerd title, but I'm like I don't want a false claim because people have earned that title. And it's so funny, us growing up, nerds used to be like you didn't want to be a nerd, but now it's like it comes with its own like reputation of like it is more creative, cool, like stuff. Like now nerds, people like, yeah, like I am, and it's like cool. I like that though. So
Man, I am so happy you brought that up because that's literally the whole reason for this channel or my whole platform. First of all, you are nerdy. Just like the fact that you still have your Game Boy with your copy of Pokemon on it.
yeah.
You play Madden. Like, if you ain't playing real football, you okay, that's a different story. You are a black man and you are a nerd. You just don't want to admit it. But going back on what you just said about like 20 years ago, it used to not be okay to be nerdy. You're right. I grew up in that era where it was never okay to be nerdy, or in the era where black people don't do this, black people don't do that, or you talk white era of black community and culture.
Yeah.
And now all of a suddenly it's cool to be a nerd within the black community. It's cool to do so many things in the black community that you can do 20 years ago. And I think the reason for that is because black people finally not only accepted nerdom and things like that because of stuff like Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, but like as a community, we have grown to be more accepting. Still got a lot of issues to work on within the black community, but the black community has grown a lot to be more accepting. And like on my channel, like not this week but next week, I'm literally going into these debates with other black nerds who from different generations and backgrounds, and we're talking about protecting black spaces, and we're talking about the great shift in black culture from we don't do this to we exclusively do this type of conversation in nerdom.
Mm.
But getting back to my point, you are a black nerd. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Sorry you found out today. You may not
Look, I'm
wanna...
not running away from it. I said I just don't want a false claim. Look, I will take if nobody will be like, no, you're not. Come on,
Okay.
I'll take it. I just
All
don't
right,
want to be a false claimer. That's all.
here's why you're a nerd. First of all, your passion and your love for the city, the fact that you are very knowledgeable about the city, like to a pedantic level, that's nerdy. If you like, obviously you're a sports fan, so you know stats. I'm sure you got jerseys. I'm
Oh
sure
yeah.
you got hats and gear. And when you go out tailgating to the Falcons game or to a UGA game, you matching. That's cosplay. That is cosplay
Yeah.
because you're not playing on the team, so you're cosplaying as a player. So there you go. And I'm not gonna take credit for that one. Somebody else told me that. So shout out to
Yeah.
that. But no, they are right. If you are wearing a jersey, you got the hat sewn, and you matching it, and you're like, oh, look at me at the Falcons game. You is cosplaying.
All right, I'm saying that's it. I don't know if you saved the best for last, if that was the last one, but yeah, that confirms it. Definitely
Okay,
another.
yeah, that confirms it. All right.
It's locked in. Yeah.
And if you go watch a Marvel movie, then it's just adding on to the fire.
Oh
Like
yeah, I am a Marvel. I'm not gonna say fanatic, but I love it. I definitely love Marvel for sure. So yeah.
right. And I know you got kids. I know they like to dress up and do things, and
Yeah.
you a nerd. You a nerd. Like
I'll
it's
take
just
it.
in pieces, you a nerd. You gotta accept it within yourself first. And then once you do that, you can come out and peek out the door and be like, all right, it's safe to be a nerd. It is safe to be a nerd. I promise you, in the year of our Lord 2025, it is safe to be a nerd most of the time.
Yeah, I'm
Especially in
good. I'm okay
Atlanta.
with that. I'll take it. I'll take it. But yeah, if anybody tries to pull my card, trust me, I'm name dropping. Mark Marky Blerdkast. He said I'm good.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you're good. You're good.
yeah.
All because I know you cosplay as a Falcons player, so that's how I know you're a nerd.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Before we go, because I do have like a bunch more questions, but
Hey,
like
I'm good. The only thing I don't know if it's gonna I just need to get my charger at some point. We can keep rocking, but yeah, my computer is going. So if I can plug up the charger, we can rock. But it's up to you how long you want to keep it going.
Actually, yeah, let's do that because I got a
Okay.
couple of questions I do want to ask you. So let's take a little quick break and we'll be right back. I will be remiss if I don't bring up current events. There's a lot happening not only in the city of Atlanta but within America in itself. I bring that up to ask you this question, given with everything that's going on as we speak right now, Governor Gavin Newsom and the President of the United States are in a bit of a debate. I call it a constitutional crisis, but it's a bit of a debate over sending the National Guard to quell protesters. Oh my God, that sentence is so crazy. I'm gonna just ask it: are we in a constitutional crisis? The stuff that's coming out of New York, the county in New York, that's like where Trump got 100 more votes than voters there are in the county, and Kamala Harris got two when it's a Democratic county. Are we in a constitutional crisis? What is happening?
Okay. You even know me on social media, so I'm not saying you can predict what I'm about to say, but you kind of know where I stand about certain things. So
Right.
for me, it goes back. Hopefully this conversation puts it better in perspective for you because I think I'm misunderstood a lot on social media. But it goes back to Maynard. If we are in a constitutional crisis, in my opinion, it's not because when I say the Constitution is not being violated, I'm saying it's because the people who have the power to keep it intact are not using it to their full extent as much as the president seems to be using it to his full extent. I've been on record saying he is coloring outside the lines. He is pushing boundaries. That is clear. That is not debated. But when we have a Congress whose whole job, or a judiciary branch whose job is to, the judiciary branch, of course, is to understand the law and decide what is constitutional, what's not. And the legislative branch is, of course, they're supposed to keep the president in check and create legislation for him to sign off on. Like, there's processes that we have to prevent certain things that we're seeing. And I know the Republicans have the House and the Senate, but in my opinion, I'm just not seeing the other side, and I'm not just saying Democrats, the other side, because there are Republicans who don't agree with everything Trump does either. I'm not seeing them fight with the power that they have as much as they possibly can. Like, that's just my opinion. So when I say a constitutional crisis, I, I don't feel like we're there yet, but I fully understand when people say it. I'll see it when either it may be too late, but when I see more impact, or it looks like the opposition is fighting as absolutely hard as they can and they're still being ran over. Then I'll be like, okay, I've seen them use the extent of their power and it's not working. I don't feel like I've seen the oppositions really try as hard as they can. It's just a lot of speculation that I have. Like, why aren't you trying harder? And I'm trying to find out that answer. So for me, I'm not going to say I consider it such, but I fully understand why. But like I said, it's again because I'm not seeing people playing defense as hard as they can. And that's what's keeping me from saying something like that.
I can agree with you that I don't see the other side or the opposition playing defense as hard as they should be. But I'm gonna say this: if Barack Hussein Obama had did anything
You would have saw
that the
defense
current
then.
administration is doing, I'm just saying we live in America. I know what America do with uppity black people.
Mhm.
I'm gonna just say that. So I'm just saying, like, why? Where's this double standard coming from? Like, why is it okay for the current administration? I swear to God, I won't say his name. It's okay for them to do this, like it's just a day that ends in Y. But if it was anybody else, if it was a black man, a black woman, uh, America does not want a woman to lead them at all. I'm just say that off the rip. But like if it was Barack Obama that was sending the National Guard to LA or the Houston or Dallas, if it was Barack Obama that was stripping away abortion rights and all this and that, the country would have his head essentially. Why is it okay for 45, 47 to do it but not anyone else?
Yeah. And it's funny when you bring up Barack Obama, like I said, if he did make decisions like this, we would see the opposition when you say they're going on the offensive or playing defense, like he did when he nominated what's his name for Supreme Court and Mitt Romney and them shut it down.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah, and that's I was gonna bring that up. Like during
yeah,
his last term in 2016, as the president, he has the right to appoint Supreme Court justices, but the Republican Party blocked that so Trump can have an extra appointee. That right there in itself streams constitutional crisis in my mind, but no, they let
But they
that
showed
slide.
what's possible. That's my point. I don't recall the exact process around it, but I know it happened. And that's my
Right.
point. They did whatever it took to get their way. And I don't know if that was operating outside of constitutional means. If they did, I don't support that. But that's my point of when you see a precedent that's been set of what can and can't be done, that's how I operate. I've seen what can and can't be done. So when I see people talk about, oh, we can't, oh, we don't have control of the house, we don't have control of, like, but I seen it. Like I saw it before. So
Right. I saw it. I saw it
yeah,
happen
that's what
time and
happens
time
with me. That's
again.
my approach to a lot of things politically. Is like it's hard for me to accept certain things when I've seen a precedent be set, and that's why even when you're seeing this administration act the way they do, if he is or they are operating outside the Constitution, you might just have to get dirty because they've shown how they're willing to play. And I've always been. I don't know if you've seen the movie Lawless. But there's a quote in that movie that I love when because it's about three brothers, but one of the brothers is like really tough. And he like nobody messes with him. Like people try to exploit him because they run a bar and they sell it's during the not abolition. What's the when the liquor's illegal with
Prohibition.
prohibition, excuse me. They're selling moonshine and stuff like that. They try to shut him down, and his little brother, Shia LaBeouf, actually plays the little brother. He's like, I'm not as tough as you. And he's like, it's not about me being tough. It's about how far I'm willing to go. Like that, all it is people try to play with me. I'm willing to take it as far as they're willing to take it. It's just the fact that I'm willing to go. And that's my approach to even politics, but life in general is I'm not here to harm anybody. I want to help everybody I possibly can. But with that, it's going to come opposition. There's going to be political and ideology like opposition. So what do you do when they come and they try to get in the way of our progress? I don't want to hurt you. You might want to hurt me. But when the violence and the harm comes, just know I'm willing to play every part of the game you willing to play. And I feel like there's not enough with this administration to say, okay, you gonna play like that? I'm right there with like, it's just like, oh no, he did that. And it's just like, okay, now what? And that's what gets so frustrating for me is seeing people kind of be bullies and nobody willing to be a bully back, especially in this political climate where it's like they're too worried about how they look versus getting the job done on behalf of the people. That's what annoys me. That's one thing about politics that I'm not playing about. Like we are responsible for people's lives. I do not take that lightly. And that's when I see people just fall over or just, just a lot of talk, I'm like, these are people's lives we're talking about. So if you disagree with the administration, I need you to fight a little bit harder because I'm saying these are your constituents, people who are depending on you to do something on behalf of them and use the power that they don't have. So for me, I'm hard on, and I hope people can hold me accountable as well if I'm elected. Then that's why I'm outside so much. Like you should be able to see your councilperson getting gas and say, "Hey, I saw you at that meeting the other day. I didn't like that. Let's talk about it." So that way I can go back and understand what the community is telling me outside of the traditional realms.
Mm, mm, You said something. I'm gonna jump down. Growing up, my mama taught me that if somebody hits you, you pick up a brick and you knock the fire out their ass. That's what my mama taught me. So with that said, you're right. A lot of the Democrats, a lot of the opposition, they're bending over. They'll say, "Hey, that's not fair. Hey, that's not precedent," or "There is no precedent for that." And then it just seems like, okay, something I learned about World War II, the Allies did appeasement when it came to Hitler in Germany, and they just kind of let him do whatever. But then it was like, okay, but don't do that, and then he would do it, and then he would do it, and then they'll keep going back and forth. It seems like we're
Right.
doing a version of that, but this is the president of the United States. We are appeasing him and the ruling party being MAGA and letting them get away with all this stuff and bending over backwards, thinking that, okay, when the Democrats are in power again or whoever's in power again, all these things are going to apply then and we're going to make change. But that's not what's going to happen. We know that's not what's going to happen. As candidate for District 11, since you said that no one is fighting back in the way, I'm going to ask you this. If elected, if you have to deal with the opposition of his administration, and I'm not saying like Republicans, I mean specifically the
Mhm.
MAGAs, the Marjorie Taylor Greens. I hate her so much because she ruined Magic the Gathering for me. Because the initials are the same. All right, yeah. See, if you are elected and you on city council and you see that side doing what they're doing, are you going to pick up the brick and knock the fire out of them, or are you going to do what all the other politicians are doing?
Yeah, well, I was about to say absolutely to the first part, not the second part, when you add it or do what the other bosses are doing. Yeah, my initiative and what I promise the people of my constituency is that I'm always going to ask and make sure any legislation or any initiative that comes across my desk, how does this benefit Atlantans? And if it doesn't benefit Atlantans, it can get out of my like I don't want to hear it. Like I don't it can go. I don't want to hear it. I'm not here for big corporations to come through and just make their money. Like you have to provide jobs for these people. We have to make sure our kids have laptops, like whatever the industry is. I'm just thinking of ideas of like if you want to come set up shop, like you have to do something to benefit this community. Like so if I have to deal with President Trump, sorry, Voldemort, but if I have to deal with this
You
administration,
don't say his name either.
yeah, no, I do, but I just want to respect your platform. But if it is dealing with this administration, it's definitely still the same within my power. Just understanding that if I don't find something that benefits Atlantans, then I'm going to fight against it. If it's something that gets in the way of our progress or prosperity, then I'm going to fight it. So whatever that looks like, I'm going to fight it. So that yeah, they have my word that I am here to serve the people of Atlanta in my district, especially, but not specifically because once you're on city council, you make decisions on behalf of the city as well. But you are supposed to be the leader of your district. So they have my word that I am only worried about legislation that benefits Atlantis, and anybody who gets in the way of that, trust me, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. And I think Atlanta government needs more of that. Everybody's trying to evict the spirit of Maynard and Andrew Young, but where is it? I just, to me, it's a lot of posturing in Atlanta politics, a lot like, like I said, there's a lot of focus on being an international city, but we got to take care of ourselves. We have to. And I think it's time we get back to making sure that Atlantans are taken care of for sure.
No, I agree. But I'm gonna let my audience know this. You heard it here first. Councilman Steveo said he got a brick in his hand, and if anybody step out of line or hurt you, he got you.
Yeah, we're not that. Yeah, it's time for that. Maynard, it's Maynard's fault. It's all Maynard's fault. I'm really taking initiative. I want to do this the way nobody's ever done it before, in the spirit of our tradition, and really just know we didn't get this way by being passive. Atlanta didn't become the city it is by being passive, and it's about time that everybody recognize all our current politicians, just how we recognize Maynard, Andrew Young, Bill Campbell, whoever, Marvin Arrington Jr., my uncle Larry Dingle, whoever you love and appreciate. It's time that everybody can say, "Oh yeah, I always see them. Oh, they're always fighting for us. Oh, they're always putting us first." Like we need to get that to where you don't have to know the most about politics, but I know that because when you talk to people from those days with Maynard, it feels like everybody was aware. Like, and not
Right.
maybe the best politically, but they all knew Maynard. They all knew something he was doing, and we need to get back to that.
No, 100%. I do agree to that. I do feel like, especially within our generations, and I hate to sound like a generationalist, but within our generations, it seems like we've gotten further and further away from the poetic justice or political activism and just being aware of our communities and being aware of what our politicians are doing. As the generations get younger and younger and younger, it seems like there's a and I get it because I've been through the 2000 election, voter died 2004, Barack Obama 2008, 2012, 2016. Oh my God, I swear to God, The Simpsons predicted the end of the world. 2020 to 2024, there is voter apathy out there. There is acts of even voter suppression within our own city and state. Clearly, and I don't think this is a black or a white thing or a Democrat or Republican thing. I think it's literally the people that are currently in power, regardless of what party that they represent, are creating such discourse to make the next generation disinterested in politics so they can hold on to power a little bit longer.
Agree, 100%.
We never had a Gen X president. We're just now getting Gen Z in Congress in Washington and in local state legislators. Millennials are kind of absent a little bit from a lot of the political spectrum. Not saying that there aren't because they have to be, but like it feels like generationally we're just becoming more disconnected from politics.
Yeah, I agree
And
with that.
it seems like it's being designed that way. In your opinion, what is something as a politician that you can do to get people more? And I'm asking the question knowing you already answered it because you are active in the community and things like that, but clearly it has to be more done. It has to be more than just you out there doing it. But what can we do to get the younger people back into politics and get them interested in their local communities?
Yeah. And I answered that question a little bit, but there's
Right.
definitely more to say. What I'm learning on this campaign trail is I don't think a lot of people understand what certain positions do. And I wasn't always as politically aware, even if I was aware of who my council member was or who was the head of Department of Transportation or something like that, still understanding the different departments and the responsibilities of all these positions. That was hard. Like I didn't know because these people aren't in your face. And even being aware of city council meetings. These meetings are when people are in school and work. Like these city council meetings are at 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning. Like if you gotta, even if you're a teacher, like let alone any other entrepreneur or business, these are during work hours. So how would you be aware if you don't know or you can't attend these meetings where decisions are being made and people are supposed to come give their experience to city council? I understand. So they don't know what or who affects their material conditions. So why would I care? If I got to get up and feed my kids and go to work and pay these bills, whether I know you or not, they feel like you don't affect my material conditions. I still got to get up and feed these kids. Like they don't understand the connect between that. But the city council person, I'll just speak on that specifically because that's what I'm running for, is they are the liaison of your community between all the departments of government. So where people just think the mayor is just the end all be all, you have a city council person that is supposed to basically be your mayor. Like you go to the mayor when the people your city council can't help you. So if I don't care if you got a wheel broken on your trash can, your city council person can put you in contact with the Department of Public Works and get you a new garbage can. Like if your water is something going on, I could put you in contact with the Department of Watershed or make a call and say, hey, look, I need Miss Johnson's water fixed. Something's going on. Like we are the person that connects you through all the departments of the city. And also, whatever our initiatives are. Like for me, it's education. It's working with our recreation centers, whether it's William Walker or Andrew Young or Ben Hill, Adams Park, Adams Park Recreation Center, like really galvanizing kids and getting with organizations to maybe do a book drive or reading programs. Like these are things that we can take the lead on. And then also we control the budget of the city. So we saw that the city of Atlanta passed a $3 billion budget to hopefully serve the community in a way that is prosperous. That's city council doing that. The mayor didn't decide that. City council
Right.
says, okay, the police department needs what? Okay, we're going to give or take this much, this many millions of dollars. Okay, watershed needs what? We're going to give and take. Like city council decides that. The mayor even has to come present and say, hey, the mayor's office needs $500 million, whatever. And that's a random number. They
Right.
need it. And city council says, no, you don't. Like city council make those decisions. So a lot of people just need to know when they have these problems or they're experiencing things. And also those MPU meetings, I can't emphasize that enough. With MPU meetings, we're giving such a small amount of people, and this is politics in general. I could bring it to voting too, but you're giving so least amount of people say over a lot of people. So the MPU meetings in my personal MPU where I live, it's all resident. So like we don't have businesses and stuff in our MPU. It's just all neighborhoods. So a lot of our stuff is just like crime. Like say if we want to put lights on the road or paint the street, stuff like that. Is more based on we don't have really any crime in my community. But like other MPUs where you have like bars that stay open late or clubs and stuff like that, they have the power. So let's say you got 5,000 people in your MPU. That may be a lot, but you got 5,000 people. 150 people show up to the MPU meeting. It's usually via Zoom. So you got every department registered or whatever. So then they go down the list and they'll say, hey, we've gotten several complaints about, let's just call it Ed's Bar. Ed's Bar, the community has been calling the police. They say, hey, we got a lot of calls about 4 in the morning because Ed's can stay open until 5, 4 in the morning. The people who live in the apartment, they're complaining noise, 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 noise. And then they ask the MPU, how do y'all feel? They may even have a vote where they actually can see the numbers. And they'll say, how many people feel like their time should be moved up till 2 o'clock in the morning instead of 5? If the people in that MPU, 5,000 people now in this MPU meeting, 150 people have attended. 5,000 people, excuse me, live in the MPU. 150 attend, and then everybody in 150 may not vote. 70 people may vote, and 40 people vote yes. Ed should close at 2. The city is not like 100% going to listen, but they are going to seriously consider those 40 people voting that yes, Ed should shut down at 2 instead of 5, and they'll take it back to City Hall and say, hey, my community wants Ed's to close. And it's like, you used to have 4,000 some odd people who didn't have a say. And that's what I mean with politics. Same thing, 500,000 people live in Atlanta. I think they said 50,000 voted, 70,000. 40,000 people live in my district. 7,000 voted last election. We're giving such a small amount of people a voice to make the determination of what happens. And I think if people understood that, I would think they would be like, "Oh no, that's unacceptable." That is, I would think, because if I heard that, I'd be like, "What? 7,000 people can make a say for 40,000?" And I said, realize it, and I'm just getting aware of these MPU meetings. So like, I didn't realize how much power they had until I started attending. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like I know a lot of businesses, and same thing. What I heard, like what happened with Buckhead, with Ray Lewis, and all that. Like they said, the MPU, like that was something that happened. They were hearing from select people that we don't want Buckhead staying open till 5 and 6 anymore because this. But it was a small group of people. But for the city to go back to City Hall, like for the representatives, that's all they had. They're like, the
Right.
community told me this is what they want. So when it comes to making decisions, they only go for the people they hear from. And then I'll say on the campaign trail, I'm not like this, but this is what I'm learning from people who have elected officials who have given me advice, as well as consultants and people who have been a part of Atlanta politics. The people who helped them get elected, whether it's be fundraising, who gave them money, and who actually vote. You have a thing called super voters, and there's technology to find out where these super voters live. That was like, hey, I'm gonna go to this part of my community because the young folks, the hood, whatever, they don't vote, so I'm not going to waste my time. And then when they get in office, the same cycle continues. I'm only going to listen to the people who gave me money, who voted for me, because those other people, they don't care. So why am I talking? Even though it's your job to serve, and that's why I'm running my campaign like I'm running, because hopefully I can convince those people that look, I'm here, I'm in front of you. You can say you saw me, so when I'm elected, you're still going to see me in the same spots, and you can know who to talk to. Versus these other people who are going to the same crowd, who they are politically aware, they vote every election, but they're just like, I just want to win, and they get. I'm not saying they don't want to serve, but they're like, this is how I win. Just talk to these people, and then but then when they get in, you talk to the same people because those are people who show up, those are people who gave you money for your campaign, and those people you know who voted. So it's just it's a weird cycle, but I'm trying to break that by saying being so visible and talking to the people who wouldn't get talked to normally.
No, I appreciate that. And you bring up like black politicians, especially in Atlanta, like Andrew Young and Mayor Maynard, like those type of politicians, they weren't the types to just only care about the issues of their super donors or things like that. They truly cared about the community that they serve and the districts that they serve and represented. So I appreciate you like just wanting to do that because like I feel like so much of politics has become super donors, super PACs, lobbyists, and that's all politicians care about. And once you're in office, that's all you're going to care about because that's where your money is coming from. Basically, you make more money being a politician by, taking side deals and stuff than you actually do from the job itself. Man, I can name a big city up in Virginia, Maryland area that got a big problem with that.
Wow.
Yeah, but I appreciate that you are being a honest to God politician and you're out here in the streets and you're going to the hoods and you're going to the local communities and the gentrified areas and the non-gentrified areas, Camp Creek and Cascade, wherever you Greenbrier Mall area, wherever you're going to continue to go and serve your community and be a face and a force in that community with a brick in your hand. You need to change your slogan to, I got this brick in my hand now. But I want to ask you because obviously you're clearly the front runner for District 11 seat.
I appreciate it.
Once elected, how long do you plan to serve your community, and what's the next goal after City Council?
Yeah, so there's no goal after city council, but serving as city council. Like I'm extremely focused on winning this seat and focus on the people of District 11. And like I said, again, once you're elected, the city of Atlanta as a whole. Because of my approach to politics, I don't know about a second term. Like I know I'm not here to play. Like I'm not here to posture. I am really trying to serve the city of Atlanta and make everybody feel safe here, know they can afford to live here, keep the our culture here, but also prosperity. Like I want to grow Atlanta. That's one of my slogans is growing Atlanta while preserving it. I don't want us to lose any of our culture. Whatever people love about Atlanta, let's keep it. Whatever it is, like our creativeness, our resilience, our chicken wings, even the strip clubs, we got a grandfather rule with strip clubs. There will never be any more strip clubs in Atlanta than there are right now. A lot of people don't know that. So if a strip club closes and the building becomes a restaurant, it can no longer ever again be a strip club. Like the
Wait,
strip club,
wait. I did not know that.
yeah, I
Why?
learned that. So whatever say we have 10 in the city of Atlanta, you
Right.
will never have more than 10 ever. So that's why they say they change names all the time, because if you change it from a strip club, it can never be a strip club again. So that's why like Foxy Lady has been, I forgot what it turned into.
The I remembered I was staying
Yeah,
over
like Diamond or
there,
something,
right
whatever. So
over.
let like yeah, so that's why you see different clubs turn over different names, because the city understands it has to stay there. So I don't want to focus on Atlanta just being valuable because of strip club. But I do thought that was an interesting point. But yeah, like my job is to really, really serve. And I think because, and I'm not calling anybody corrupt or anything like that, but like I think
I,
my approach to the politics, that I'm going to be so aggressive in trying to benefit Atlanta's lives, that people, it may rub people the wrong way. And if I rub people the wrong way, truly trying to serve Atlanta, I, I hate to get cocky, but I'm Steve-O regardless. Like I'm going to be there for my community regardless. So if I don't get reelected because I was going too hard for the people of Atlanta, I can live with myself. So I don't have any vision past the 4 year term that I'm trying to win. But just know, once I do win, my approach is going to be aggressive in truly putting Atlantis first and doing what we need to do, like I said, to educate our children, to be safe, to prosper, and preserve our culture for sure.
do you think you can get all your goals accomplished within just 4 years?
Of course, with education, that's a long term thing. I don't know if I'll see the
Yeah.
benefits of it within term, because it ain't just high school. You want to start, the earlier the
Right.
better.
Right.
So to see that through, I know I'm going to do the work with my wife and everything we do personally. Of course, I'm gonna do what I can personally, but that's going to be a little longer. But even the economic development stuff, all these things, I don't know if I'll see the end result, but hopefully to even get the, like with the MARTA thing, that's I'm not going to see that in 4 years. $300 million project, like we're talking about streets and infrastructure and all that, and even that happened. The conversation started in 2016 that I know of, and it still hasn't started yet. But
Right.
hopefully I can kickstart it to where we can, if we even have the gravel event, like with the shovels and the mayor, I know it's happening, and that's enough for me. So even if I don't see the fruition of my efforts, it's just getting the ball rolling. And again, just like Maynard did for me, it's letting people know what is possible. And this is something small to put in perspective. I was just speaking to my HOA, letting them know I was running for city council. And Keisha Lance Bottoms used to be my city
Right.
councilwoman before she was mayor. And we were just talking about, because we're on the border of Atlanta and South Fulton. So as soon as you turn out my neighborhood, you're in the city of South Fulton. So I'm on the
Right.
edge of District 11. So there's a part of our neighborhood we have a creek, but the creek is like the border. And we were talking about like how do they get this kudzu and all this, the trash, whatever, from this creek, because it's hard to access for just
Right.
regular people. And we were just like, oh, we always get the runaround. South Fulton says it's Atlanta job. Atlanta says it's South Fulton. And a lady was like, well, when Keisha Lance Bottoms was councilwoman, she made sure to get the city of Atlanta and clean it up. And I said, see, nah, no, I'm not arguing with South Fulton about it. I'm going to South City of Atlanta, Department of Public Works, and we're getting it. That's all I need to know. It's possible. It's getting done. When I win, it's getting done. You should never told me Keisha did it, because now I know what's possible. And it's things like that. They're like, I'm not even finna go back and forth about that. Like I saw it was done. It could be done. Let's get it done. And so that's my vision of being effective in that way. And things that are long term, if I can get the ball rolling on that, I'll take it. I don't necessarily have to see the ending, although I would love to. I'm like I said, I'm focused on serving the people of Atlanta the best I can within the term that I was elected for. And if they elect me again, I will accept it. But I'm focused on what I can't control.
For those who don't know, and I'm only asking for those who don't know, who might be watching my audience, is city council is only limited to 2 terms, correct? Or is that one of the ones that you can just keep running for as long as you can?
Yeah, you can keep running, because
Okay.
District 11 has had a legendary guy. Mr. Jim Maddox was here for like 30 years, and then
Mm,
it was after him. It was Keisha, if I'm not mistaken. It was Maddox, Keisha, Overstreet, and then now it's open. So this district hasn't had a lot of turnover in recent years, but like, and I can't remember how many terms Keisha served, but yeah, Maddox did like 30, and then
mm.
I think Keisha did more than one. Marcy did two, but yeah, like Council Member Julian Bond, I think he's been more than 3 terms, if I'm not mistaken. He's still on the count. He's running for reelection again, so this may be his fourth or fifth straight term. So yeah, there's no limits on city council.
Gotcha. So I know you said you don't have like any plans or foresight past the 4 years once you're elected, but you got to have a game plan, like a political career in mind somewhere. Like, is being mayor next, running for another district? Like you only want to do city council for District 11.
My thing is I'm trying to serve the people of Atlanta City, like District 11, with what I'm elected as.
Okay,
Like
okay.
that, especially being a first time politician. Once I get in and I see how things operate, I may have a vision like, you know what,
Gotcha.
I could
Okay.
do more. But as of now, I am strictly trying to do what the people elect me to do, and I think they deserve that. Somebody who's going to fight for them because they elected me to do so. So by having sights on other things when I've never been elected before. To me, that'd be unfair to the people
Right.
of my constituency. So they just have my word that if they elect me, you got somebody who's going to fight and work for you every single day. So
I commend you for at least being one of the politicians that's going to come in and like, hey, let me get the experience instead of just going for the highest office of the land and just making a mess of it. So
yeah,
I thank you for that. Thank you for that.
no,
Um,
no.
I do want to ask before we go, I do want to ask you this. I worked in the general public before in like, just retail and things like that. General public sucks, just in personal opinion. But with that said, where does your passion for wanting to serve your community come from? Because like again, the general public as a whole, we all been the Kroger and Walmart and seen some of the more, how can I say, flavorful examples of humanity in
Good
public.
word, flavorful.
So why serve the community when you know the community as a whole? Not saying the whole community is has issues, but people are people.
Yeah,
People are nasty. People going to say things, especially if you're going to be a public figure. You got to have tough skin. And the reason why I bring this up is because I watched a lot of Parks and Rec growing up. That was
I know
probably one of my
that.
favorite political satire shows.
That's better
And
than The Office.
right, gotcha. Oh yeah, so Um, just seeing some of the scenarios that they had to go through, and just how I know how the general public is, because I've had to be a cashier before. Even when you're doing your job and you're doing the best that you can, it doesn't matter because people want it right here, right now, instant service, instant gratification. So, with that said, why have a passion to serve your community?
It's Atlanta did it to me. Atlanta, like I said, having that perspective of what it's like to grow up outside of Atlanta and both, like to being able to step out and truly look at Atlanta for what it is, and also coming in and understanding that it isn't just a snow globe. Like, yeah, like how you admire snow globe from the outside, you can never live in it or go in it. But like
Right,
being in Henry County and then coming in Atlanta, realize like, whoa, this is real. This is not a facade. There are really black folks here making everything happen. And as you talk about the flavorful behavior of people, at the end of the day, even if you take the people who are the most flavorful, I think even they understand what it means to be from Atlanta. Like, even if they're doing, committing crimes, even if they're not the smartest or they've had a trouble past or checker past, I think even they understand the value of what Atlanta is. And if given the proper tools and equipping them with such and put in the proper circumstance, I think they would alter that checkered history into something more progressive and positive if given the opportunity. So my goal is and this is my fundamental belief politically, ideologically, just in general, my approach to life, especially in my district, it's black. I can really speak about black folks because my district is really all black for the most
right.
part. But if you equip black folks, but anybody, with the proper tools for success and you encourage them, I really think it's that simple to get the most production out of people. Now, when I say production, I don't mean just work. I mean like how behavior, loving each other, all of that. And a lot of times people just don't have that level of like the care given to them. Like nobody's equipping them with the tools. Like it's just oh, don't worry about them. Like I can't care about them. I'm gonna worry about the kids who are doing like the best possible, and I'm not gonna worry about the kids who are struggling. If you just care and try to give them equip them with the best tools possible, we will get the outcomes we want. And I just think the city and specifically District 11 deserves someone who's going to fight for them to equip them with the tools so they can thrive and prosper. And I really think it's that simple. It's that simple. Are you going to have someone who's going to go in City Hall and advocate for everybody's prosperity? And this is what's needed. The Camilton Road needs this. Butler Road needs this. People on County Line, they need this. And are you going to get up and go in that City Hall every day and say, I have to find a way to get my people this. And by getting my people this, it makes Atlanta a better place for everybody. Because, like, don't forget why we're here. We are here
Right.
to serve these people. And then for the people who are coming to spend money here, which helps us, we have to make it equitable for everybody. We can't leave anybody out. So that's the reason that I want to serve my community. Because again, I'm putting the city first. Whether I'm an elected official or not, I understand if we all put our effort into making Atlanta the best city possible, which takes us. A city ain't a city without us. If we
Right.
all understand that mission, then at Atlanta, we've only seen the tip of the iceberg. Then, if we all take that approach, oh man, we think we've seen something before. We talk about old Atlanta, man. We can take Atlanta through the stratosphere and with us first. That's why I want to put an emphasis on that. We got to take care of Atlanta first. That's what made me want to move down here. They're like, you see how they living in Atlanta? Like they can afford it. They live it, and it doesn't have to be the best house. That's why I always bring up the projects, the federal. Because we just say project, it sounds terrible, but the
Right.
first federally funded housing project. Somebody thought it was equitable to have affordable housing. It may not be the best, but why do people look at old Atlanta when we had all the product from Bowen Homes to Techwood Homes to Thomasville Heights? Why does Atlanta feel so much more culturally rich and attractive when we had those versus now none of them are here anymore? And I think there's a good balance between that. Like I said, I want people to live in the best possible way they can live. But even if it's just affordable housing where they have roofs over their heads, that still is a benefit because we've seen Atlanta thrive with that. So for me, I,
Right.
I just want to put Atlantis first, no matter how flavorful they are. I love that
Um,
word. That's a great adjective.
well, I have to watch how I say and word certain things because I forgot the internet can see you when you're doing
Yeah.
stuff like this. So, because if you go back and watch some of my past episodes, I've said some off the wall wild stuff before. But so I'm learning the carefully use tact to say my words. I will say this. The answer, kind of the statement that you just said. The thing that makes Atlanta different, is that Atlanta has soul. That's where our culture comes from. That's where the creativity, the art, the music, the sports, whatever. Atlanta has soul, and it's because of those not federally funded projects. Because I was born in Carver Homes before
Oh
they
wow.
tore it all down and stuff like that. I was born in '87, so I remember growing up and living there, and then moving to Riverdale, and then moving to Jonesboro, and then moving to Decatur and Stone Mountain, and then back to the city of Atlanta again. So, Atlanta's in my blood as much as it's in your blood, and I've like this. I swear to God, I love this city. I've lived out of state in other cities before. There's no place in the country, in the entire United States of America, that's like Atlanta. Atlanta's the cream of the crop, the crown jewel city in the South. Even compared to like Miami, Charlotte, New Orleans, Atlanta is that city
Mhm.
that everybody comes to. And just what the city has meant culturally for the states, culturally for the South, and just the state of Georgia is truly a magical place here between the distribution of wealth within the black community in Atlanta. Atlanta's blackety black, and the black community here got money if you're in the right areas. Don't get me wrong, there's some parts of Atlanta that they're gentrifying, that they're turning over into, trying to bring up and bring other demographics of people in, and kind of destroying the older culture or some of these other areas that we know. But Atlanta is still a thriving city. Atlanta is still a black city, the blackest city in the country, and I just love it so much. With that said, I do want to ask you before we go, what is your favorite part about Atlanta, or some of your favorite memories of growing up in Atlanta?
Man, favorite memories. Oh man, I don't even know where to start. It's so crazy. It's just a core memory. I was only 6 or 7 when the Olympics came, but I remember watching Muhammad Ali. I know he has Parkinson's, but I just remember being as a kid. As an adult, I'm more mature now. But being as a kid, I was so worried he was gonna drop that torch. Like that was
Oh yeah,
and like as a kid, I was like, "Mom, I vividly, you know how you sometimes can remember stories because people tell you them versus you actually remember them." I vividly remember like genuinely being worried, like, Mom, he's gonna drop it." But that's but that's just one thing. But my memories, probably my best memories, hanging out with my dad on MLK. I didn't realize it then because it was just like going to work with my dad, but like understanding just how valuable it was to see black people have a black owned hair care company at that every
right.
day off MLK, and seeing those students in the AUC every day. and also, and then me ended up going to Clark Atlanta and me working for Bronner Brothers, doing the Bronner Brothers show, like understanding the value of what it meant to see all those black folks twice a year, by the thousands across the country come for hair, and then know my dad is the vice president of all this, and seeing a black family like the Bronners, like I'm saying, coming to Atlanta was just like this is real. It just
Right.
really just like there was nothing that was impossible. So I just like just growing up and being around it. We would go walk around Greenbrier Mall and just my dad would go in and be like, "Is this black owned? Is this like asking people questions like, you see, like this what black folks can do?" Like, and it didn't feel, even though it would be fine if he was teaching me, it just felt natural. It was never like this is a lesson. It's just like
Right.
you just hear and look. And I think that just had a huge impact on me and my uncle as well. Like we spent every Christmas at his house. Who he passed 2 years ago, but his wife still, my aunt still lives right across the street. They're in South Fulton now. It used to be Atlanta, but South Fulton got created in 2017. But
Right.
there's just the memories of, and then I could go to college and all of that. Like that really helped shape me because again, this interview is a great show how my personality, my perspective come into play. Just how I feel about Maynard, Clark Atlanta. Our motto is find a way or make one. Again, it's just no excuses. You find a way or you make one. And everybody knows when you go to Clark Atlanta, you come out, that's what you live by. Um,
Right.
so yeah, those memories just being on MLK every day, Bronner Brothers and going to Clark Atlanta, those are some things that really impacted me and shaped my perspective of the world.
That's what's up. It's so funny you mentioned the Bronner Brothers, because my mom, she owned her own hair salon. So I
Oh
was
yeah.
always, as a kid growing up, at those Bronner Brothers shows, and I'm like, it's just hair. What is
Yeah.
happening? But I didn't understand the importance of black hair, especially in Atlanta at that time.
Right.
But as I got older, I learned to appreciate it. Then I started my own businesses, and long and behold, one of the first big gigs I get is working the Bronner Brothers show as a
Wow.
photographer and just going around doing that. So, and then that led to like the Talia Wajid hair care thing. Like Atlanta is such a black city. Like I love it. I swear to God, I love it.
Yeah.
Like just like so much culture and history. Like you can't lift up a rock or pick a piece of kudzu or patch of red Georgia red clay without finding black excellence everywhere.
Mhm.
And I swear to God, I love the city for that. I Last question before we go. And this is just a personal question. What is your one secret wish you have for the city of Atlanta?
A Falcon Super Bowl. We get
Oh my
it ain't
God.
even close. It ain't
Thank
even
you.
close.
Okay. Oh my God.
You see, I didn't have to think about that.
Yeah.
Falcon
Okay.
Super Bowl.
Okay. That's my one secret wish. That's why I wrote the way I did. Two chances over. All right. I'm so Atlanta. I don't know if you know, there's a documentary about the history of Atlanta Falcons on YouTube from a channel called Dorktown.
Oh, I gotta see that. I haven't seen
If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's the best thing ever. It came out 2021 after the pandemic, but they talk about the city of Atlanta so much, the history, the culture, everything that's going on. And when they get to Super Bowl 51 and they break it down in that season, I can't even continue to watch it past the when they explain like everything after the fourth quarter. Because I cry. I swear to God, when people say 28-3, I want to fight them still to this day. That is something that I cannot get over. Just oh my God. We
Yeah, the
need a
98 Super Bowl was the first time I ever cried over sports. And this was back when the airport would let you in. My cousin, it's so crazy. When I was born in East Point, we moved to Henry County. We had a cousin that moved in that house in East Point. So she took me to the airport to see them off to the Super Bowl. Yeah, you could go all the way to the window back then. So
right.
we walked in the airport to like wave them off to the Super Bowl. And I remember our house was set up in a different house. And it was like the stairs, but you could see the TV from the stairs. And I'll never forget watching that 98 Super Bowl. I hate John Elway to this day. And I was just like, that's a vivid memory of mine watching the Falcons lose that 98 Super Bowl. And I hate John Elway to this day for that. So yeah,
I feel you.
that Falcons Super Bowl would mean a lot to me.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it's so weird, and you can call me a bandwagoner for this, but it doesn't make sense because I was literally a child. I was in elementary school and I became a Falcons fan, but it was that 98 season going 14-2, uh, going into the playoffs, and where I started to become a fan of the team because I saw, like, again, I was only a kid, I was in like fourth, fifth grade, but seeing how the city was reacting to the Falcons, not only just in the playoffs, but like I remember that day we beat the Vikings in NFC Championship, and it was almost like the city went effing crazy.
Yeah.
Um, just like because we was at South Lake Mall, we was just walking around and people was like, "Oh, do the Dirty Bird dance," and we're doing it. I remember the news crews everywhere. I think I was on the news that year when that happened. But yeah, we was just the city was so electric and fun. And I know I'm about to say some blasphemous shit, but during the Vic era, I wasn't a fan of Michael Vick, but I was still a fan of the Atlanta Falcons. Going through that era and then the Matt Ryan era, and then getting to Super Bowl 51, and I swear to God, the Patriots.
Man, yeah, it hurts.
Yeah,
Tom
just
Brady's
thinking
greatest
about
Super
it.
Bowl performance ever. Like,
Yeah, so much. That was so much fucking bullshit.
yeah.
Like I swear to God, if we just taken a knee after the sack
I can't
fumble, we
stand
would
Kyle
be
Shanahan
Super
to this
Bowl
day.
champion.
Like, we talk about that brick. If I
Yeah.
ever saw Kyle Shanahan,
Oh my God. Yeah.
I
Kyle
can't stand
Shanahan.
that
I
man. I
swear to
loathe that man.
God.
I
I
loathe that
swear
man.
to God, they need to make a rule saying that if you're playing in the playoffs, you can't interview for another coaching position until you're out of the playoffs officially. Like,
Yeah.
I knew something was up. He got the job week going into Houston, and I was like, he good. Win or lose, he already good.
Mm-hmm. Man, can't stand that guy. And then I'm saying his daddy was coaching the Broncos. Like I'm saying, I just the name Shanahan just
No, I get it.
can't
I
stand it.
get it. I get it. I understand. Atlanta got a lot of enemies when it comes to the NFL. Like I don't like no Eagles. I don't like no Green Bay Packers. I definitely do not like no Saints.
We know that. Yeah,
No Saints. The only good thing about New Orleans is the food, and I'm gonna just leave it
and
at
that's
that.
it. Yeah,
That
that's all
is
they get.
it. But oh my God, I cannot wait for Saints week. I It's so much like built up aggression I have. Like I have to let it
I
out during.
understand.
That's my one secret wish too, and I think that's a lot of other people's one secret wish is a Super Bowl ring. Like, yeah, we got World Series, we got MLS, we got no Hawks kind of trying, but
Yeah,
we got championships. But none of that mattered until the Falcons win the Super Bowl.
that's a fact.
None of
That's
that
a
matters.
fact.
That's how AT alien I am. None of that matters. The Olympics,
Yeah.
none of that stuff matters
The
until we
city
win.
would never be the same after a Falcon Super Bowl. Like you
No,
can't tell
no.
us nothing. Oh my God, man! I don't know. Oh my God, we're gonna keep talking about it. But I remember at that halftime, people out because I was working at Taco Mac at the time, and people were
Okay.
congratulating me leaving. Like you finally got one. Like we were talking about when the parade was gonna be. I just remember Shake, man. Thank you, man. They was like, "Hey, you finally got one." It's
Yeah,
man.
man. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So Lady Gaga performed, and you want to talk about Atlanta being Atlanta? That
yeah.
was the weirdest Atlanta moment ever. Is Gaga at halftime, and we're up, and like I'm walking, like I'm smoking a cigarette, walking outside my neighborhood at halftime while Gaga's performing, music blasting. It's just nothing but the halftime performance. Everybody, every thug, MF in the neighborhood out there, like, oh, we got a
It's
ring,
on the way.
dancing to Born This Way. And I was like, this is the weirdest shit I've ever seen, but it's too Atlanta to
Mhm.
witness it. And then like the end of the third quarter, then like, oh my God, oh my
Yeah.
God, his knee was down in overtime. His knee was down at
Yeah,
the
that too. A lot of people don't talk about that. Yeah, it was. It was. Yep.
want to
And
go
it,
fight somebody now.
exactly.
I shouldn't have
Yeah.
brought this up. I know how I get when I talk about 28
This is
to
the most
50.
I've ever talked about in a long time, too. I ain't gonna lie. Even though we only talk like 3-4 minutes about it, this is the longest I've ever talked in a long time.
But I mean,
Oh
it
man.
stings. I'm sorry, it
It
stings. It
does.
sucks. Like I've seen atrocities happen in my lifetime. I've been through so much, but that loss was the most traumatic thing that I experienced in
Yeah, they
my
talk about millennials like experiencing so much events
right.
from 9/11 to the housing crisis,
Exactly.
Trump being president, whatever. But then oftentimes they don't bring up us Atlantans experiencing
Nope.
that.
28 to 3 is definitely on my list of millennial trauma that I ate for
Yeah.
breakfast. Um that man, that changed me. I would be a happier, more positive person if we had
Oh,
won that Super Bowl. And then especially against Tom Brady of all people, it would have been
hey,
poetic
man.
justice. to the umpteenth. Outkast would have instantly got back together and made that damn album we're waiting for them to do if we had won the damn Super Bowl. Now we never will get that. Andre 3000 out here playing flutes and shit now.
Oh yeah, Atlanta.
No, I'm sorry, I just had to bring that up.
No,
But
it would have been different. You're right. That win would have changed the trajectory of Atlanta. Something would have been different. I don't know what.
Right.
Something would have been different.
Marta would have been expanded. We've been able to get the Chattanooga on the red line going north. Like Falcon. Oh my god. I can't even. But thank you for so much for coming on. I know it's been a long little chat, but
it was fun.
This was fun. I didn't think politics. I guess I'm secretly a poli sci nerd because I'm so like into like nerdom and stuff, but are into the politics of stuff. But I guess it's my job. I work at a TV station, so all I do is watch news and get info from across the country, and it is it's depressing. Oh my god, the news is depressing. The stuff that they are reporting versus the stuff they're not reporting. I'm just like, oh my god, like I need to get out of this industry. But again, I don't want to take up your time. Thank you for coming on. I know you have some more campaigning and canvassing to do. I know you got some more stickers to hand out to people who don't even want to look your way.
Part of the job.
But why don't you let everybody know where they can find you at on the internet? If they want to follow you, if they want to follow your campaign, if they want to vote for you, where can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, I'm Stephen Dingle, a candidate for Atlanta City Council in District 11, which is my district is entirely Southwest Atlanta. So it's not the whole Southwest Atlanta, but the district is inside Southwest Atlanta. But I can be found everywhere online at Dingle for Atlanta or Stephen Dingle for Atlanta. But if you type in Dingle for Atlanta, I'll pop up. And yeah, it's just that simple. So yeah, Stephen Dingle for Atlanta. And yeah, if you keep tapped in with my social media, you'll see events that I'll be at, speaking engagements, everything will be announced. Be that way. So I'm not hard to find. That's a big thing for me. I am not hard to find or get in contact with at all. And to vote for me, you do have to live in the district, but any support, of course, is appreciated, whether it's, just visibility, campaign donations, or spreading the word. Everything is appreciated. And Mark and Blerdkast, appreciate you all giving me the platform, allowing me to be here. Like I said, I had a good time and appreciate all your questions, man. Everything was thorough, man. I know you work for the TV station. You might need to get in front of the camera.
No. I swear to God, this is the hardest thing for me to be a face, a personality. I swear to God, I'm still not perfect at it. I cannot do that professionally. So I'm gonna stick to my little YouTube channel and TikTok stuff. But thank you again so much. This was a privilege and an honor. It's so refreshing to talk to another AT alien who gets it, who's been there, who's about that life. Being from Atlanta and just wanting to not only see your city prosper and grow, but actually have an active hand in watching it grow. Like you said, you want to at least get to the groundbreaking ceremony. So once you're out of city council, you can you can see these projects and things build up. So just thank you. You're doing the Lord's work, because I don't think I would want to be out there and trying to help the city of Atlanta in the way that you are. I'd rather just pay my taxes and just call it a day. But you're actually out there doing the dirty work, shaking hands, kissing babies, getting yourself out there and getting on. So thank you so much for just allowing me to have this opportunity. This was actually a big interview for me. I thought you was going to say no when I approached you. Like, who is this? Do you live in my district? Nope. All right, enough with you.
Nah, I just said the only thing with that, man, I just like to see that it's official. Like, as long as your intentions are good, man. I checked out. You sent the link to your podcast. I saw a couple episodes. I was like, okay, cool. And you gotta make sure people aren't trolling. Like I'm saying, we're not here to play with people's lives, and that's the only thing is when people ask for opportunities like this. I just gotta make sure you're serious. That's all, because I'm not here to play with people's lives. So that's all.
No, I get that, and apparently I'm too serious about this YouTube stuff. But I've just been fortunate to do a lot of things and meet a lot of cool, interesting people and network that way. So I'm just honored that I get to do this and still be able to pay my bills and things like that, and just do what I want to do. With all that said, so again, the whole purpose of having you on was to prove to you that you are a nerd, and sir, you are definitely a nerd, because you're in it with political science stuff, you're in it with the Black culture stuff, you play video games, even though they're just simulations of sport games, it's still a video game. You're a nerd, you just need to accept it. Welcome to the community. We have cake and pie every Thursday in our little meetup, so welcome, Steveo. You officially a Black nerd. With that said, I want you to experience real nerd culture. All these little nerd conventions happen. There's one this weekend. It's about Power Rangers. I know you know what Power Rangers is. I
I
recommend
love
you come
Power
out,
Rangers.
shake some hands.
I
I
do. I
even
won't be
got
here
a
this
free weekend
weekend.
pass
Yeah,
for you.
I said we got a family vacation, but you sold me with Power Rangers. We didn't get into how I feel about. I am a nerd for posse stories, like films, books, anything that has a group of people trying to accomplish a mission. So Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, anything like that. Like I am locked in. So dog, you had me sold to Power Rangers. So if I was here this weekend, I would be there. But
Hey,
yeah,
there's a
I had me
con
sold.
every weekend. So if it ain't Power Rangers, it's gonna be Southern Fried Gaming Convention or Atlanta Comic Con or the big one, Dragon Con, at the end
Yeah.
of the summer. If you ain't at Dragon Con at that parade and I walk by and I better see you in the crowd of Dragon Con at the parade, shaking hands and handing out green stickers with your logo
Yeah.
on it. Cause like you just gotta experience that. Like it's one thing to see it and you live in the area, but to be in the parade, see all the cosplay, see all the black people that are just being nerds and comfortable in their own skin and like cosplaying. Like growing up, you heard the saying like you ain't gonna come up my house looking any kind of way. Black
Of
cosplayers
course.
took that to the 10th degree, and I swear to God, looking like show accurate, film accurate costumes and stuff. You got to experience that for at
No,
least once.
for sure. For sure. Yeah. If I don't have a political commitment, trust me, I'll be there at the parade for sure. So you just gotta keep me posted on the dates and all that. And I said when I worked at the hotel, I used to know them, but yeah, now I lost track. So yeah, just keep me posted, man, for sure.
I will. I will definitely keep you posted. But for everybody else, this has been a very Atlanta episode of Blerdkast. I love saying that because I love the city of Atlanta so much. But yes, thank you, Steveo, for coming on. If you live in Southwest Atlanta, please come out to Election Day. When is Election Day this year?
Yeah, election day. The actual day is November 4th, but early voting is October 14th through the 31st. So you have about 15 days to actually vote. So October 14th through the 31st, you can go ahead and knock it out. But the last day and the official day to vote is November 4th, election day. We'll know who the winner is by that night. So, but early vote is encouraged because, I don't know if everybody gets the job off on the 4th. So if you have just an off day between October 14th and 31st, please take it to go ahead and early vote.
Right. And again, that's probably a whole topic for another episode. But again,
Right.
you have an invite to come back on. We can always talk politics and nerd stuff again. And please go out and early vote before they take your rights away. Because that's what they do.
Hey, that's honest.
I am. That's why I said it. They you know how the Republicans are in the state, and I don't trust Roethlisberger and Brian Kemp like that. Like, don't get me wrong, Kemp ain't like the MAGAs, but I don't know. Something about that I need 11,037 votes conversation didn't sit well.
Precedent, yeah. When you set the precedent, it's hard to trust again. So
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. It's hard to trust it when you're a bootlicker and you follow suit. And even though you are publicly against it, I just don't trust it. But anyway, this has been Blerdkast. Man, we was about to be on for another 30 minutes talking about that, but I got to end the show here. Thank you for coming on. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you live in District 11 or just in the city of Atlanta, just go out and vote. They're taking your rights away. Just go out and do it. But this has been Blerdkast. You can find Blerdkast everywhere you listen to your podcast, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, all the social media platforms, Spotify, Google Music, Apple Music, and so many more. Next week, or actually not next week, next time on Blerdkast, I plan to have something very special, even more special than tonight's episode. But until then, peace.